Hello, good evening. Hi, armchair detective, enough is enough, me lovely Jen. Bedtime clown, lovely to see you. Not seen you for ages. Hope you and Voodoo are doing well. I'm gutted I missed JC's live last night. I was out with the girls and we were having a bit of a raucous time, and I only got home like really late. And when I checked, it had finished. So yeah, if anybody sees JC before I do, please apologise to her on my behalf. Oh, that's good to hear, bedtime. I was wondering if you might have nipped in tonight with it being Dyatlov. So what's going down at the moment? Because I've not been online this week as such. So I'm missing things that's going on. I did get a text from Denny before saying something had kicked off on Dirty D's chat or something, so I don't I don't know what that was regarding, but it sounds like it might have been good to listen to. So I'll just do a little bit of general chit chat until other people come in. It's been a bit of a funny old week, really, hasn't it? Sorry about the background noise. The dog is deciding, as always, the minute I come live, to start going rooting in things he shouldn't be rooting in. Come and lie down. Lie down, Cooper. Oh, right, bedtime. Oh, well, at least it's not just me then. It was just this, it all kicked off in chat. Did you hear? And I was like, nah, I stay away. I think the main topic of conversation with most people away from YouTube has been this whole Oscars thing with Will Smith and Chris Rock, hasn't it? Shock horror. I did used to quite like Will Smith. I liked his films and things, but I just thought he behaved like a turd, personally. Not going to get into it with anyone who disagrees and is on his side, but yeah, I think he behaved like an absolute knob. I must admit, it did make me chuckle because Chris Rock's brother Tony did a stand-up the other night. And the way he described it, he was like, you got up and hit my brother. He went, because your bitch gave you a side eye. And I thought, yep. You're right there, bedtime clowny is an absolute joke. I don't like her anyway. I didn't like her when I very first saw her in The Nutty Professor. I don't know what she'd been in before that, but that was the first thing I ever saw her in. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, she's been doing a bit of the old bed hopping, hasn't she, with him expected to put up with it. So yeah, I don't like her very much. Oh, and before they come in, for anybody who didn't know, we had 2 birthdays yesterday. We had the wonderful and amazing Lady Witch. It was her birthday, 21 again. And it was also the wonderful and amazing Tismy Denny's big 4-0 yesterday. So she was away with the family, having wonderful times, and hopefully she'll come in. But if either of them do tonight, I expect we shall sing to them. She's in love with Tupac. Is she? Oh, I didn't know that, bedtime. That's a bit crazy, isn't it? There's kind of, that old phrase, don't shit on your own doorstep. But I think she spends a lot of time dropping her drawers and shitting where she's standing. Hi, Julia. How are you, love? Good to see you. Just doing my usual 15 minutes of chit chat till people come in. I know that Green Eyes was setting her because it's a very early morning in Australia, so she was going to set her alarm. She writes him love letters even though he's dead. Oh, you're kidding me? Really? Oh, Julie, we're just talking about Will Smith's wife. Bedtime's just said she's in love with Tupac, so she writes him love letters, even though he's dead. Oh, Bedtime. I don't know if you've met Julia before. We did a live a few weeks ago. Hiya, Frida. Hello, my darling. How are you? Yeah, we did a live a few weeks ago about the paranormal, and Julia and her son came up, and her son's got some really interesting stories. So we're hoping at some point they'll both come up again. And with Burren Witch, it was the same night Burren Witch came up and told us about her visit at Lep Castle. So that was quite good. What have you been up to anyway, Bedtime? Have you, because I've not noticed you doing any lives, or have I not been getting notifications, which seems to be happening an awful lot at the moment? Oh, right. Oh, I'm glad you heard that one then, Bedtime. Yeah. And I've now got Porky has now got some more ghost hunting equipment, because it was his birthday last Saturday and my birthday last Sunday. So I got him a little present there, although one thing hasn't turned up yet, but we'll have to wait and see. I did get in touch with the supplier and they said they'd sent it, but that they will send another one, but we'll wait and see what happens. Has it been really busy, Bedtime? That's why, I'll be honest, that's why I've not been on for the past week. I'm absolutely chock busy with work. It's always very busy at this time of year, but I've just been knackered. It's a good birthday weekend. Oh, we did, Fried, thank you. Yeah, we had a good time on himself's birthday. He got spoiled. And then on the Sunday, because it was Mother's Day, wasn't it? So we went over to meet, to see Porky's mum. And I kind of got thrown in at the deep end, meeting the entire clan. So, because his sister and brother-in-law and niece and well, actually, it's a great niece, isn't it? The baby. Yeah, so I kind of got the entire clan, but it was really nice. His mum had put a buffet on, and because obviously he missed 2 birthdays because of lockdown, so it was kind of a Mother's Day stroke birthday party for Porky. But then when they all realised it was my birthday that day as well, so his birthday cake became our birthday cake. It was a really nice day. It was lovely. So I was wondering whether Fern might have come in tonight, because she knows an awful lot about Dyatlov. Did you get my video or not? No, Julia, nothing's come through. Because I didn't know if, because that night you were having difficulties and you got kicked off. The internet. Do you remember when you were trying to get back on, you could hear us, but nobody could hear you and you couldn't get back in the chat? And I know that was the night you said you were going to send it over. So I didn't know if you just had difficulties sending it or not. But no, at the moment, no, we've not had anything come through. Because I gave you my other email, didn't I? When we were in private chat. Yeah, send it to that Gmail one if you can, Julia, love, and rather than the one that's here on my channel. Frida, my son took me out for a lovely Mother's Day lunch. My daughter oh no, she's only now and away with her mates for a spa weekend. Oh, I'm glad she's all right though. It hasn't she? No, oh no, I'm going to get mixed up. I know that Simple's son and daughter-in-law got the COVID, didn't they? And then was it Mrs. Mercury? And then now obviously yours. And I'm thinking, has your daughter had it more than once, or is it just the one? Not that just, I'm not playing it down, but I know somebody's child has had it more than once, and I can't remember who that is. And I was wondering how Helen was as well. Has anybody seen Helen Happy Thoughts? because the last time I spoke to her, she'd got COVID for the 3rd time. And then who else did we have? Oh, it was Paula, wasn't it? Paula Parkinson. She's had, she's trying to recover from long COVID. Oh, it's a bloody nightmare for everybody. But yeah, I'm just kind of forgetting who. There's that many people coming down with it, and forgetting who's had it and who hasn't had it, and who's. She's just had it this once, but I've escaped it so far. Yes, I have as well, Frida. Have you had the Have you had the jab, or were you one of the ones who, like myself, who hasn't? Because Porky's had his jabs, but he's not had the booster. We were on about this in the car before. But he was saying when he had his the first one, he was poorly for. I think he said it was like 2 days. He was really poorly for. And a lot of people that I know who've had the booster have even if they weren't ill when they had the initial vaccine, they've been really, really sick with the booster. So, but obviously I'm one of these. I was determined anyway, as you all know, just purely because of my educational background. I refused to have it until the clinical trials are finished in 2023. So that's my choice. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm just fully untested or taking any drug that's not being fully tested. My family have had a bad. Oh, I know, Julie. Well, you suffered bereavements because of it, didn't you? As well, which is awful. Frida, I've had 2 jabs plus the booster and flu jab. I'm like a pink cushion. Oh, well, that's what they've offered to Porky is the booster and flu. I think it was. Is it like a 2-in-1? But I think he's just worried because he's get this. He's started a new career, and obviously you don't want to be, when you've only just started, you don't want to be having to go off on sick leave, do you, because of a bloody jab. He'll have to tell you all sometime what he's doing now, because it's wonderful. Right, what time are we on now? Right, I'll give it another couple of minutes. I'll give it till 1:45, and then I shall start with the Dyatlov stuff, because obviously it's a Sunday night. I don't want to keep you all away from whatever you would normally do. Muscle in your left arm is very sore. Oh, now they did that. My auntie was very painful, and I said to her, I wonder if they'd hit a funny spot in the muscle. And she's got no meat on her bones either. So, are you a real skinny mini as well? It doesn't help that I hate needles anyway. I get into cold sweats over them. I'm a bit marred, or nesh, whichever you want to say. Oh, well, we've got 9 people. Hello, everybody who is watching and lurking. You feel free to come in and say hello or not. It's absolutely fine. You're all welcome regardless. We will start in a minute. I'm just having a little catch up with people and giving others time to come in. Oh, here's Mrs. Mercury. Good evening to everyone. I'm currently arguing with 4-year-old Chucky over a piece of orange, which was mine anyway. Oh, Mrs. Mercury is, I'm sorry about this, guys, but obviously Mrs. Mercury is now my closest friend, seeing as how we're now living in very close proximity to each other. We went to a pub today for our lunch. I'm kidding you guys not. You want to see the size of the damn desserts. We brought them home. And I forgot the name of the flipping pub, but you will probably know about it. They do cakes which are absolutely massive, and I'm not even kidding you. We brought them home on a takeaway. Porky's daughter has got an eclair that's, I think it's like a foot long. It weighs a ton. He got a massive slice of carrot cake, and I got Galaxy caramel cheesecake. It's right near, you know where the motorway roundabout is for the M55? And if you go left as you're going to go towards Peel and Balham, the next roundabout you come to, there's a B&Q. It's the pub there near the B&Q. So if you know that, if you don't, I'll get the name off Porky, and you seriously need to go and take the children. Oh, it's Denny. Oh, here we go. Hey, Kiss. Hope you're well, chicken. Hi, all in chat. Hope you're all doing well. I'm listening in while finishing up jobs. Well, 'tis me, Denny, who was 40 years young yesterday. She deserves a happy birthday from the whole of chat. She's going to tell us about, she did have a bit of an experience while she was away, which I won't ask you to do it tonight, my darling, but if we do the next live, because we're going to do a bit of a paranormal one, weren't we, with Julia and Burham Witch again. So I think Denny needs to come and tell us all about it. So I'm going to sing happy birthday to my beautiful friend. Oh my God, bedtime. You were 45 on Wednesday. Oh, right. Okay, we've got bedtime as well. Okay, and Lady Witch as well, bedtime. It was her birthday yesterday. Oh, mate, I didn't know it was your 45th. So was that the 30th bedtime, clown? Because Porky's is the 26th, mine's the 27th. So yours is the 30th, and then Lady Witch and Denny are the 2nd of April. Oh, we're all the Aries crew. Right, okay then. This is for Bedtime Clown, 'tis me Denny, and Lady Witch, who isn't here, but it doesn't matter. Are we ready? Put your fingers in your ears, and I'll try not to bust your eardrums. Lots of rams up in it. Oh, hell yeah. Happy birthday to yous. Happy birthday to yous. Happy birthday, dear bedtime clown. 'Tis me, Denny and Lady Witch. Happy birthday to yous. Yay! It's like I did the yous then, because it just didn't seem right to say you when we were doing plurals. And I know that if Porky's listening, he'll think I've done that on purpose, doing a Scouse accent. Happy birthdays to yous. We can all butt heads. Well, do you know what, bedtime clown? We can all butt heads, but in the nicest possible way, because at least we all get on. Oh, everybody's wishing you all happy birthdays. Sorry about the appalling singing. I did actually ask Porky the other night, please, can you sing a happy birthday and I can record it for Lady Witch and 'tis me Denny. And then we got into the alcohol and got sidetracked and whatever. But anyway, he didn't. So he owes you a song as well as Sheila. Yeah, it is true, bedtime clown. We make a good herd, don't we? Can you remember? I think as well, though, you know, whenever there's been like a massive fight on here and we all pile in, that's the good thing about us all. You know, we're like a really strong herd, the Aries crowd. Hey, Frida, thanks, Julia. Happy birthday, bedtime clown. Oh, shucks, thanks, KMA. Alcohol and sausage. I don't think I got any sausage. In fact, hang on, I can't remember actually now. I might have. But the alcohol was very nice. we've discovered these new things. Has anybody heard of? It is raspberry rum cream liqueur. Oh, it's good. My son's compared me to the antique stones on the moors. Do you know what? When you put that in your text message, Denny, I thought I misread it. I thought you said the stones on the moon. I've decided I think I need glasses. But yeah, we're that's obviously a sign of age. Cooper, stop it now. Good grief. Right, so we had an away day to the freaking moon. I'm not fit to be let out. Do you know what, Frida? We did. I made it, but this is it, right? You see, so for our, I think it was on his birthday night. So on the Saturday, I made these Guinness cocktails. So we both, and I'm saying, I've got all the stuff to do these Guinness cocktails. I bet. Hang on a second. Stop it. I said I've been and I've got all the stuff to make the these Guinness cocktails with on Frida's recommendation. See, I was kind of already passing blame off to you, Frida. So I said we're going to make these, and I made them. So I got the condensed milk and blah blah blah, and the whiskey in it, and the so we had one each, and he was like, it's not very, and it was bloody horrible. And it was like, that was really nasty. I said, I know, it wasn't nice, was it? And he went, what went in it again? He said, what was it? A Guinness cocktail? I went, yeah. He said, so what went in it? And I went, well, we didn't have Guinness, so I put Mackinson Stout in it. And we didn't have Irish whiskey, so I put bourbon in it. And then, and he went, so basically, it was fuck all like the recipe. I was like, well, yeah. He said, so when you said you'd been out and bought all the ingredients, what did you actually buy? And I went, well, the condensed milk. It was the only thing we didn't have in. So I kind of did an improv. So I can hand on heart say it is frigging awful with Mackesons and bourbon. However, I expect if you used Guinness and Jameson's, it would have been lovely. So yeah, I effed that one up a little bit. He wasn't impressed. Dear me. Yeah, just I always think I know better, but you know, bedtime clown, you're laughing there, but as an Aries, you know what it's like. If we think we can do it better, we're going to have a go. We're not going to take no for an answer, and we're going to still act surprised when it all goes wrong. Right. I'm going to stop procrastinating, and I am going to start with my Dyatlov stuff. So just give me a second. I've got a dog here with a toy. Go away. Go on. Go away. Go on. I'm just trying to get my notes together, and I've got a feeling that this little bugger is going to start off any second now. Cooper, don't do it. Right. If I struggle, I will apologise in advance, and I will stick my glasses on. I've got some like really weak glasses, but I think I need proper ones. Okay, now, what do you guys want me to do? Would you like me to go through, and I'll try and keep it as briefly as possible. Do you want me to go through the timeline from start to finish again as a refresher? or for anybody who doesn't know about Dyatlov, because I tried to do some pointers to keep it as simple as I could. Obviously, I'm aware that we've talked about this. A lot of people like to talk about Dyatlov. Cooper's dead hard now. He's coastal. He thinks he is. I think I am Mrs. Mercury. I had an argument with somebody this morning, some old bitch on Stanley Park, but that's another story. I might tell you that one later. So yeah, I'll just wait to see what the consensus of opinion is, and if you want me to do a quick blow-by-blow account, because I know that Bedtime Clown's really interested in this, aren't you? And you've listened to a couple of people covering it. I know we covered it very, very, very briefly, but I wanted to talk about a lot of the anomalies tonight. Oh, Mrs. Mercury, she was an old bitch. And I'm still out at when the tide's gone out, I'm still going down on the beach looking for whale shit, so I can. I keep saying whale shit, whale vomit. You know, the ambergris or ambergris, whatever you say it, to make perfume. That fella found it up at Fleetwood, so I keep going down the beach trying to see if I can find a little bit of the old whale vomit to make some money on. Oh, so you know a little bit about it. Okay, right. I'll try not to bore anybody, but I'll take it from the top, try and whiz through the actual timeline, and then I'll get on to some of the weird and wonderful, strange facts. Because there's a lot of stuff as well that was put forward as fact that has been debunked, in recent times. And then there's a few theories as well. So everybody's got a theory on Dyatlov. Well, shit, I've never thought that thought until now. Denny, I keep saying whale shit, and I mean whale vomit. I don't know why, but yeah. But I still haven't found any. When I do, I'll let you all know. But that guy up at Fleetwood, I think it was he found like a little, I don't know, just a bit bigger than hand size lump of this whale vomit. It's like 50 grand or something he made off it. So yeah, every time the tide's gone out, me and Cooper are walking along the tide line looking for it. Probably never find any, but you never know. Okie dokie. Gonna dive right in. So, if you're all sitting comfortably, I'm going to begin on the Dyatlov Pass Incident. So, bedtime, the thing is, it's not illegal in this country. I know it's illegal in America and Australia and New Zealand, but it's actually not illegal in the UK. So if you find it, you can sell it on, because it's about, although whales are protected species, because it is an emission, a bodily emission. It's no longer attached to the actual whale anymore. Then that is no longer a protected part of the animal. So yeah, in the UK we are actually allowed to sell it. Can't imagine whale shit perfume. I know, Frida. But you can't really imagine whale vomit perfume either. But whatever works. It's like that CK1 though. I think that, oh God, I hate the smell of that stuff. Hate it. And poison, do you remember that? It's illegal. Yeah, it is Bedtime Clown. It's illegal in the United States of America. I don't know about Canada. It might be illegal in Canada as well, and it's definitely illegal in New Zealand and Australia. I think it's all part of the whales. You're not allowed to trade in them. I think even if you find a skeleton or something. But yeah, that's absolutely fine over here. It's just the live animals in the, as an entity, they're protected in the UK. Odor rank. Right, I shall stop talking about whale shit and I shall crack on with some actual facts about Dyatlov. So, for those who don't know, or for those who do know, the Dyatlov Pass Incident, it is an event that happened in 1959, and 9 out of 10 mountain hikers, they're like mountain hikers stroke cross-country skiers, they lost their lives in this, well, quite mysterious circumstances. Now, ever since this happened, the mountain pass where this tragedy, mystery, all these deaths occurred, has been called, or it's been known as Dyatlov Pass, and that was named after Igor Dyatlov, who was the leader of the group, carrying out this hiking stroke cross-country skiing expedition. Now, the aim of the group was that they wanted to reach the Otorten Mountain, which is about 10 kilometers to the north of what's now known as Dyatlov Pass. The route that the hikers were taking was categorized as a class 3 during February's, and a class 3 at that time meant most difficult. So I can give you the name of the... Hi, Lady Witch. Oh, you missed your birthday sing-song, but happy birthday for yesterday, my darling. I hope you had a lovely day. But if you replay this, you'll hear me singing appallingly badly to you and Denny and Bedtime Clown, because it was his birthday on Wednesday. So I've only just started, and I'm just doing some of the birth facts of Dyatlov before I get into talking about some of the strange things. So there were 10 members who set off on the journey, and they were all highly experienced hikers with long ski tour experience. And please forgive me for my pronunciation of any of these names if I get them wrong, which I know I will. So for anybody of Russian descent, I apologise from the bottom of my heart if I butcher your language. Okay. So these are the people. There was Igor Dyatlov. I'm not going to say the middle names because half of them I can't even read them, never mind pronounce them. So Igor Dyatlov, Yuri Doroshenko, Ludmila Dubinina, Yuri Krivonishenko, Alexander Kolivatov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Nikolai Thibeaux-Bignoles, Semyon Zolotaryov, and Yuri Yudin. Now, 2 out of these 10 were females, and most of them were they were studying at or they were at the Ural Polytechnical Institute. They absolutely were Frida. They knew their onions. They weren't just happy day hikers. Like my dad always says, because obviously up in the northwest of Scotland, he's not that far from, well, he's probably about 40 miles or so away from Ben Nevis. And he always says there's always some twat walks up Ben Nevis in the summer in a pair of sandals and shorts. They haven't got a bloody clue. They weren't like those, happy hikers. These were proper, educated and fully experienced hikers, winter hikers especially, endurance hikers and cross-country skiers. So yeah, you're absolutely bob on there. Now, the group started the journey in January, and they reached Ivdel city by train on the 25th of January. And from there, they then went to Visay by a truck, and that was on the 27th of January. Now, Visay was the last inhabited area to the north of the province Sverdlovsk Oblast. Now, on the 28th of January, so this was the first thing that you probably will all remember from when we talked about it last. On the 28th of January, Yuri Yudin had to return back because he was feeling poorly. So he left the party, but the other 9 continued on with the journey. Now, on January the 31st, they arrived at a highland area's edge, and they prepped up for climbing, and in a wooden valley, they then decided to stash some surplus equipment and food with the intention of using this when they were on the return journey. So there's no point lugging it all the way up the mountains with them and then lugging it all the way back down again. So they made a cache in the woods. And, you know, that's quite popular, even amongst hunters. I think a lot of them do it in America, don't they? And Canada, they'll make a stone cache and they'll put emergency equipment in there, such as, you know, fire lighting equipment, maybe a waterproof, maybe some tinned food. But yeah, they decided to do that with the surplus food and equipment and stuff, so on. And again, that's good practice. You know, that's something that experienced hikers, mountaineers will do. So it just shows that the foresight and the training that they had. Okay, so the next day, February the 1st, they started moving through the pass. Now, they possibly had intentions of making it over to the other side of the pass and camping for the night, but they ended up losing the direction. And because the weather conditions were so terrible that day, they started moving to the west, and you know, the visibility was near enough zero. As they lost direction, they then moved up towards Kholat Sikal, which translates into Dead Mountain, and it's also known by the Mansi tribe as the Mountain of the Dead. So this is where they were heading at. Now, they realized that they'd made a mistake, so they stopped. But instead of going back down, you know, heading back down the hill towards the forest, the team, they decided to camp on the slopes of the mountain. Now, Yuri Yudin, he was the guy who left because he was feeling poorly. He later said that, you know, he thought it was possible that Igor Dyatlov didn't want to lose the elevation that they'd already achieved. So he decided to stay where they were, you know. What's Frida put? Lucky Yuri, he just died there in 2013. Yes, he did. I bet he was thanking his lucky stars, Frida. Now, the plan had been that that Igor Dyatlov has made was that he was going to telegram the university sports club once they returned back from their expedition. I can't even speak tonight. Their expedition, and reach Vizay. Now, they'd estimated this to be round about the 12th of February that they expected to be back at Vizay. But obviously, no message came from Dyatlov that day. But, you know, nobody was really that worried. You know, a few days either side during one of these expeditions, especially that time of year, especially when the weather can turn, you know, things change, people get delayed. You know, in really, really bad weather conditions, stuck up a mountain, you're just going to stay put until, you know, the storm passes. So it wasn't too much of a concern. However, 8 days have gone by. So by the 20th of February, the families are getting concerned. They contact the university and they demand that rescuers are sent out to look for their families. Now, the rescue team was set up and it consisted mainly of volunteers, which were mainly the teachers and students from the Polytechnic. And they were sent up there by the head of the sports club. And then not long after this, there was like militia and army. They also got involved in the rescue operation. and they sent out rescue helicopters, and planes were also sent up to try and circle the area and see if they could see any signs of these 9 individuals. Now, at Kolat-Siak, however you say it, Siakal or Siakal, what I should have actually done was write it out phonetically so I knew how to pronounce these, but unfortunately I didn't. So anyway, at that place, the rescue team found the badly damaged tents of the team. Now, investigators said that the tents were torn down from inside. None of the team members were inside the tent, but their belongings, as well as the shoes, were all there in what remained of this collapsed tent. Now, the rescue team, they spotted footprints leading away from, this trash tent. So there were 8 or 9, that's what they just put, was 8 or 9 sets of footprints. And these footprints were made by people wearing only socks or just a single shoe. And the footprints were leading directly to the edge of a nearby woods. And this woods was located directly on the opposite side of Dyatlov Pass, about 1.5 kilometers from the campsite. Now, so they followed these footprints, and in the woods, these footprints then led to another 500 meters in, after which the footprints vanished. So at the edge of the forest, because they're obviously looking around, the rescue team then found a large cedar tree, and underneath this, they then found the remains of what looked like a fire and 2 bodies. Now, these bodies were later identified as Yuri Krivonashenko and Yuri Doroshenko. Now, both of these bodies were found wearing only underwear and no shoes. And this was the first of the weird things. So some of the branches of this cedar tree that they were found underneath were broken, and they kind of snapped off, and it's been described as though somebody was scrabbling to climb this tree. And these were broken up to a height of 5 meters, so 15 feet, suggesting that one of them, had tried to climb up there. Now, they continued to look around. So they found these 2. They found the remains of this fire. So they keep looking, they're obviously fanning out from this central point, and they then find 3 more of the hiking party, all dead, and all of them lying between the cedar tree and the campsite. And they were found at different spaces. They weren't all found together in one little huddle. And these 3 bodies were Igor Dyatlov, Rustem Slobodin, and then Zinaida Kolmogorova. Now, as I said, they were all found at different distances. So coming from the cedar tree back towards the camp, there was 300 meters from the cedar tree was the first body, 480 meters from the cedar tree was the second body, and 630 meters from the cedar tree was the third body. Now, there are obviously still 4 people missing, but they didn't find these bodies. They carried on searching for them, and then and this went on for another 2 months. And after this 2 months of searching, the remaining 4 bodies were finally found, and they were recovered. They were all buried under, it was around about 4 meters of snow, and they were 75 meters further inside the woods from the cedar tree. So, and they were found on the 4th of May. Now, excuse me, before the last of the 4 bodies were dug out, before the last 4 bodies were dug out, the investigators closed the case. And so this is before there've been, autopsies, what have you. They closed the case, and they said it was a simple case of death by hypothermia. Now, there was a small crack was noticed on Slobodin's skull, but it was discounted at the time as something that was probably not fatal. You know, maybe just cracked his head when he passed out through hypothermia, and it was kind of just brushed aside, really. Now, though the preliminary reports said that the deaths were caused by hypothermia, when they recovered the last of the 4 bodies, this then changed the way everybody looked at this case. Oh, bear with me 1 second. Hi, Joe. The lovely, lovely Joe. Hi, kissing everyone. I'm digging in the garden and listening. Bizarre story. Oh, just before I carry on, I'm going to put our Joe. I'm just having a nosy at your photo, Joe, because I noticed that somebody has a photo. So I'm putting it up on my screen so I can have a proper look. Looking hot there. Look at this one. We have just got the most beautiful people in this chat. I'd just like to say that right now. Loving the photo, Joe. Right, I shall get back to where I was. But it's great to see you in here, chicken. I've got the dog who's chewing a flipping toy, and he keeps, I don't know if you can hear the noise in the background. He's squeezing and chewing and bringing it over. I'm trying to throw it with one hand, read my notes, watch chat, and keep him from barking. Oh, yeah, Joe, it's a lovely photograph, that, sweetheart. Oh, I've just noticed Frida's got a new one as well. Sorry, before I carry on, I'm going to do Frida as well. So feel free, everybody, heap the praise on the lovely Joe. Let's have a look at Frida's new one. Sorry, Frida, I'm just going to totally shame you now. Lovely. I think you've got lovely skin, Frida. You're very welcome, Joe. I only speaks the truth. The last body's found horrific. And I know I'm just going to go into that one now, Frida. I always do this, so don't I get slightly sidetracked. Can I just check, am I going at an all right speed for everybody, or am I going too quickly through these facts? Does anybody want me to slow down or speed up? I've just tried to include as much information as I can without overloading on facts. She is, Frida, isn't she, looking very sexy? But yeah, if the speed I'm going through it's all right, let me know. But if you want me to slow down, I can slow it down. It has got the loveliest people, Lady Witch, in all ways, loveliest looking and the loveliest, sweetest, kindest people. Did you have a lovely birthday, Lady Witch? I'm sorry, because I wasn't watching the chat, so I don't know if you'd put anything in there. Hiya, Sid. Oh, I'm glad I stopped for a little break now. Lovely to see you. I'm really glad you could drop in, sweetheart. How are you and how is Nancy? I was just asking how Lady Witch's birthday went. And I'm gutted I missed JC's first live yesterday. But I'll tell you all why later on. Yeah, and you as well, Julia. Now, what's Lady Witch's photo this time? Sorry, I'm putting you back up on the screen here. My son took that photo of me on Sunday. Always took my mum's advice, keep your face out the sun. Well, I tell you what, Frida, it's working. It's absolutely working. You've got skin to die for. Oh, Lady Witch, you've got the old ram up on screen. Well done, you. Bedtime Clown was saying we're all I think we're all rampant rams, actually. It was fantastic. Flowers and no cooking, cleaning for me. Oh, lovely. I did send you an email, but I don't know whether, because sometimes I'm having a bit of an issue with emails. It said it's sent, but it might not have. But I did send you an email yesterday to say happy birthday. And I was texting Tismy Denny as well. Oh, that's great to hear, Sid. Is Nancy doing? She's all right, is she, love? Right. I shall just keep my eye on for any little comments, and I will carry on with this. But yeah, if you're all happy with the speed I'm doing it, I shall carry on. Excuse me. So, oh, it's absolutely fine, Lady Witch. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't think I'd not remembered it was your birthday, because I did. I put, as people are letting me know when it's the birthdays, I'm being really sneaky and putting them into my calendar. So I'm going to have to put bedtime clowns in because his was on Wednesday. Goes the filter. It looks half your. Oh, let's have a look at you then, Julia. Oh, she's very happy considering the problems. Do you know what, Sid? That's half the battle, though, isn't it? I think with a positive mindset. Oh, that's a lovely photo, that, Julia. What, even if it's got a filter on. Hey, do you know what I did as well? I got me. I did myself a Sims face. I look sexy. I was. I said to Porky, I went, look at me. I said, look at this. Is my Sims. My Sims me. And he was like, you look quite fit. I might put my Sims one up, and then everyone will think I'm stunning. Right. I was going to carry on. So, as I said, we got the last 4 of these. Oh, God. Give me 1 second, guys, please. The damn dog has given himself heartburn again. I'm going to have to just give him some yogurt. Come here, Coops. Come on. He does this when I'm talking to you. Like, as you know, he does it all the time. He gets his toy. He gets really frantic. And then he gives himself indigestion and heartburn. Like a moron. There you go. Okay, I'm back in the room. Oh, Cooper, never mind. Cooper is an absolute knobhead. He gets himself in such a tiz. Right. I shall carry on. So, as I said, initial reports, when they found the first 5, was that these were deaths caused by accidental hypothermia. And then, as Frida had mentioned, when they found the last 4 of them, that kind of changed everything. So 3 out of the 4 corpses that they dug out from underneath this 4 meters of snow showed severe fatal injuries. Now, Ludmila Dubinina and Semyon Zolotaryov were recovered with severe fractures to the chests. Nikolai Fibio Brignolis had severe fractures on his skull. Now, Zolotaryov and Fibo, I'm hoping I'm saying this all right, Brignolis. Dolsby Fern. Hiya, Fern! You threw me then for a second. I was like, Dolsby Fern or Dolls by Fern. I was thinking it was Dolsby. I'm thinking, who's Dolsby? But it's not, it's Dolls by. I'm glad you're here, my sweetheart. I'm just going through some of the actual facts. So you've not missed too much. We've just got as far as finding the bodies. And I'm trying to make the dog lie down because he's given himself indigestion because he's been a bit manic. Oh, do you know, I'll tell you what, Fern, I'm so tired today. I was after nodding off this morning, and I really need to have a bit of a kip. So I'm hoping I'm not going to spend too long boring you all. I thought it was Dalsby for the longest time. Well, Lady Witch, Tismy Denny sent me a text message just replying to me happy birthday wishes, saying that the kids thought her and Led were as old as the rocks on the moors, and I thought she said the rocks on the moon. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, the right educated young lads, these. Oh, where are you at? Whereabouts are you, Fern? You have told me before, love, and I have forgotten. I'm dreadful with remembering where people are, for the most part. Actually, I'm going to say that. I think if I go through most people, I'll remember where they are. Especially, I have to remember Mrs. Mercury now because she only lives just round the corner. Oh, no, you can't lose your shield, Fern. Oh, you're in Kent. Oh, right. Is it cold down there then? I have noticed. I did see on the news, though, didn't they say that they were expecting snow this week as far down as Southampton? Which, incidentally, I used to live in Southampton. But yeah, I noticed today we were up at the farm, and me and Porky's daughter was taking little Maisie for a walk up the lane, and although it was, the sun in itself was quite warm, but the wind that was with it was really cold. So I've knocked the heating on for a little bit. Sod the bells. Oh, it's 5 there, is it? I don't even know what it is here. I've no idea. Right, I shall crack on with this one. So, hang on. Cooper, stop it. Just go away. God, bloody dog. Oh, northerly wind. Yeah, it's very, very bitterly cold. Righty-ho. So, Zolotaryov and this Fibio Brignoles, however you say his name, they didn't have any external injuries, none. Now, this led, so the doctor who examined the bodies, I'm going to butcher his name as well. His name was Dr. Boris Vozrozdeny. Oh, there you go. I should remember that, shouldn't I? Because of our Tiz. Vozrozdeny, he concluded that those two were subject to extremely high pressure conditions because the nature of their injuries, and this is the thing that everybody always remembers, their injuries were the type that would be created with a force equivalent to a high-speed car crash. Now, I know we've covered this one before, but the most disturbing of all the bodies was of Dubinina. Now, not only were the bones, her chest, all the bones in her chest were fractured, but her eyes, her tongue, part of her skull, parts of her facial tissue, and some parts of her lips were completely missing. And her hands showed extensive skin maceration. Now, we'll play devil's advocate because the body of, like her body, she was found face down in a small stream running under the snow. And some people claim that the damage to her body, especially her face, was possibly caused by the natural decaying after she died. Okay, we'll leave that one there, but that's what some people are saying. Yeah, it's Tizzy's brother. Now, there was then also, when people were looking at these corpses, their initial reaction was that somebody decided to claim that, they were probably attacked by the Mansi people. They were like an indigenous tribe in that area. So the Mansi must have attacked them and killed them. But even though the Mansi, they rounded up the Mansi and they hauled them in, and we're talking 1959 Siberia, you know what I mean? It's, they didn't really go easy on people who were suspected of committing a crime in Cold War Russia. But You know, they were released afterwards after they'd done extensive questioning, and apparently, you know, some of these Mansi people were terribly traumatized, you know, by the interrogations that they underwent. But yeah, they are, Fern. They are. You know, they're very similar to the Sami of Finland, and you know, the like Inuit people. They're just different. You know, they're just different. So, but you know, despite all of that, you know, they had to admit afterwards that, you know, there was no sign whatsoever. There was no sign of any hand-to-hand struggles found near the tent. They didn't find any footprints of anybody else there. You know, there were no footprints that would have suggested there'd been any kind of combat or any kind of a struggle. Now, theories started to pop up all over the place as people tried to explain what had happened to the party. Hang on, the dog's off again. Go away. No, Cooper, go. Now, yeah, I heard about that, Fern. I heard that some of the people had started to had gone to help try and find them and to track them down and like you say, dig them out. Yes, Frida, they were. This was it, with all the bones in the chest being broken. Hiya, Jules. Hello, my darling. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely to see you, as always. How are you this lovely Sunday evening? Oh, God, this dog. Cooper, go away. Go. Yeah, tongues, eyeballs. You know, this isn't... And like we were saying the other day, Fern, I think, because don't forget, they found the corpse of that deer, didn't they? Was it a day or two prior to their own deaths? And the deer, this red deer, I think it was a red deer stag, wasn't it? That was also missing its tongue, and that tongue had been ripped out. So, you know, it's... Please, I caught you. Oh, I'm pleased you're in here as well, Jules. I really am. No damage to the voice box, near surgical. Yes. And do you know what it always... It smacks to me of, Fern? Not exactly the same, but with the same type of, you know, the strange circumstances in how they were removed. The cattle mutilations that go on in America. Is it Nevada where they have a lot of those occurring? Maybe Lady Witch or Bedtime Clown can you know, just clarify that. But I'm sure it's that state. Might be wrong. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna set my life on it. But you know, they have a lot of those the cattle mutilations, which are crazy. You know, it looks like there's been laser surgery performed on them. You know, no way somebody could just... Oh yeah, sorry, and Joe as well. I forgot Joe was here. Sorry, Joe. But yeah, she could probably shed some light on it as well. Oh, it's probably just me talking rubbish bedtime. Where's Skinwalker Ranch? Is Skinwalker Ranch in Nevada, or is that a different state? I think it occurs quite a lot around wherever Skinwalker Ranch is, about the radiation found in some bodies. Now, there's another thing, Frida, because there's claims that radiation, you know, some of the bodies were found irradiated, but then there are also claims to say that this has been debunked. But there isn't any confirmation from the Russian authorities either way. So I'm not quite sure what's right. Oh, hi, Lisa. Oh, did you? Oh, Mr. Ball. I love Mr. Ballin. He's great. He is probably one of the best storytellers ever. Maybe Idaho or Ohio or somewhere in the Midwest. All right, okay. Like I said, I'm not sure. It's whichever state that stop. Whichever state that Skinwalker Ranch is in, because I watched that. Is it her name Molten How or Molten How? There's a woman, and she goes and she checks out these cattle mutilations. And I watched a program on her, and God, they were crazy. But again, they have like eyeballs, tongues removed, udders, and things like that. Even like there's like lasers will cut out a circle of taking basically their anus, so the bum hole will just be removed. Why? And weirdly, why? How was the Mandarin chicken? Do you know what, Fern? He loved it. He ate the whole lot. We didn't get a look in, but he ate the whole lot. Linda, thank you, Mrs. Mercury. Linda, I couldn't remember her first name. Linda Moulton Howe. If anybody, oh, it's in Utah. Thank you, Lady Witch. Okay, is that in the Midwest? I'm so sorry, Bedtime Clown and Lady Witch and Joe. I'm really ignorant about geography, but yeah, if that's the Midwest, then Bedtime Clown, then yes, you're right. Mysterious orange lights reportedly seen as well in the area. Yes, there were. Yes, there were. And strange noises. And strange noises. So, if we get back onto what the theories started off as. So, obviously, it's a big mystery. And people started to make, there were all these different theories started to crop up. Some people started to suggest that it was possibly an avalanche. And with that particular theory, and it just gets really bizarre. It's like funnily enough, as Bedtime Clowns just put, it's a long way from Dallas. I was just going to compare some of these theories with the whole, the magic bullet theory with the JFK assassination. That bullet that was turning like 90-degree angles and coming back on itself and what have you. Because with the avalanche theory, one of the theories was that this avalanche was so fast, the way that it came down the mountain, was that it ripped the clothes off the skiers, leaving them naked, and that then they died of hypothermia within 15 minutes of being exposed to these like sub-zero, I mean incredibly sub-zero temperatures. Now, some people did say that, the avalanche theory, yeah, that adds up because Kolevatov, Zolotaryov, Zubinina, and that Fibio Brignoles were farther away from the campsite during the avalanche, but that they then were, they fell off into the ravine, which caused all their injuries. Why they cut themselves out from inside the tent looks like they were running away from something in there. It certainly does, Julia. Mrs. Mercury been listening while trying to contend with foil. Oh, is he still after your orange, Mrs. Mercury? Okay, so what ripped the clothes off? Well, it was somebody. One of the theories, Jules, was that because nothing added up, and it still doesn't add up to what happened to these people. But one of the theories was that it was an avalanche. And when people were saying, well, yeah, it might have been an avalanche, but why were they all found naked? It was like, well, they did have the clothes on, but the avalanche was so quick that it tore the clothes from them. And yeah. Now, but as I was saying with the avalanche theory, that, you know, some people were saying that that was given credibility by the fact that the, you know, the other 4 people who were only found in May were found, you know, in a ravine, and, you know, they were, oh yeah, they must have been swept away because of this avalanche. So that did garner a bit of support. Now, it was eventually discarded because if you think about when the rescue team found them, oh, sorry, let me just have a check on. Shower Grim has been a terror to the neighbours. Exceeds the new variant. Oh no, Fern. Oh, have you got it, Fern? Bloody glow in the dark stones and horrid Henry. And I've got the dog of Satan here who keeps bringing me this damn ball and he won't fuck off. Bedtime plan. This is a hard one. Originally, I thought drugs of some sort. Then I thought avalanche. Well, now I'll tell you for why with the avalanche thing that it doesn't add up. Not just to me, but see what you think of this, because yes, avalanche, you can think, right, okay, so the avalanche swept 4 of them into a valley, and yeah, we're gonna do the realms of possibility. Could an avalanche have ripped all the clothes off them? Unlikely, but you know, we weren't there and we can't say it didn't. However, don't forget that all of the footprints from the tent and leading to where the bodies were found were still there. So if there had been an avalanche that had swept down and swept 4 of them away, does it not go hand in hand that the traces of the tracks from the tent to where they were found would have possibly been covered by the snow from an avalanche? And also, there were footprints leading back to the tent, weren't there? So, you know, the footprints leading away and then the footprints leading back. So they were all still intact. Just a thought, but now there was also another theory saying that, oh, sorry, I'll just have a little look at, chat before I go to the next bit. Fern, I'm finding it scary that the government are asking for the ingredients in an open paper as to what's in these vaccines. If it happened at night, not dressed when it happened. Yeah, well, that's it, Julia. They wouldn't have been, you know. And the other thing as well, I discussed this with one of my friends. Yes, well, we went out last night, and I was saying about, you know, what I was going to cover tonight on this one. And I was saying, you know, she said, yeah, but they wouldn't be in the tent in just like undergarments. I said, well, yeah, they probably would, because do you remember the old Peter Kay joke for those in the UK? You know, take your coat off, else you won't feel the benefit outside. Exactly the same thing. Anyone who's been camping, you don't tend to put all your layers on to sleep in. You get up the next morning, you're freezing. You know, you start doing the layering up. Lady Witch, I would have guessed they were changing into dry clothes after hiking all day and got swept away. In trying to run, it was faster to just cut through the tent than fumbling with the zipper. Yeah. Well, I've got a little interesting bit as well on that with the cutting thing. Frida, they were in a panic to run out of the tent in socks. Yeah. Yes, they were. To avoid side effects and basing nerves in the muscle. Oh, right. Bashing nerves in the... Oh, gosh. I know what story you're on about now, Kiss. The penny has dropped. Yeah, it's Dyatlov, Jules. Hi, St. Paul's. Hello, my darling. How are you? Lovely to see you, as always. Now, one of the other crazy theories that I was just about to go through was about parachute mines. Now, the Russians were apparently testing parachute mines in that area. And these mines, as you know, as it says in the tin, they'll come in on a parachute, but they will then explode a couple of meters above the ground, and they would cause like severe and fatal internal damage to anybody who was nearby, and wouldn't show any significant external injuries. Now, this is what Frida was talking about, because there were also reports of glowing orbs seen in the sky in nearby areas around that time that the hikers being up there, which is in accordance with the parachute mines theory. Now, once the parachute mines theory was put out there, that was when people started to say that it was a government cover-up, you know, and the government tried to cover it up. The government moved the bodies and, you know, placed them in different areas. There were some people who were saying the photographs of the campsite, you know, showing that the tent wasn't, you know, it was incorrectly put up, which was definitely not what experienced hikers in the group would have done. You know, and so this, as we know, is kind of the rumour mill, isn't it? And this is what happens when people haven't got, there's no evidence, there's a bit of a mystery. The minute you hear something that, you know, you can latch onto, and then it starts to spiral. Now, this, I think, is what Fern mentioned was the Kármán vortex street. This was another theory. Now, the wind blowing around the Holochal mountain led to the formation of Kármán vortex street, which releases releases infrasounds, which in turn can cause severe internal damage. And believe it or not, it's a really popular theory, this one. Now, hiya, Kiss, this is Nancy. Thanks for always asking after me. I'm fine. Oh, Nancy! Oh, listen, love, your family. Everybody loves Sid, and we all think, you know, everybody's always wondering how you're doing. Everybody say hello to Nancy. Sid's missus is in the house. Oh, I'm glad that you're listening in. I'm hoping we're not boring you. But it's great. Please come in again anytime. Anytime. And if you're ever feeling up to it, come in under your own steam, and we can, like, you can just add to the girls. We outnumber the boys anyway. It was double that night. Oh, was it, Fern? Oh, and the psychosis. Well, and again, I've got a couple of little things I wrote down about the psychosis. The files in it have been closed now, kissed by the Russian government, but people are still investigating it. Yeah, there is. There's like a Dyatlov group, and this is run by, the guy was a young boy at the time, and he knew some of these young adults who died. So he's the custodian of a lot of the information, you know, the journals, the photographs. Oh, Frida, Nancy, nice to see you. Hello, Nancy, please, you're here, from Julia. Oh, I will thank. Oh, brilliant, Nancy. Thank you, love. I'm really glad that you're popping in. Great to see you, and I'm glad that you're feeling all right. Oh, Lady Witch, gotta run. Take care. Oh, bye, Lady Witch. I'll catch you soon, sweetie. We'll do another paranormal one this coming week, because Denny's going to come up and tell us her wonderful stories of the weekend, things that go bump in the night. It hasn't been dropped, Frida. There is so much nuclear testing, etc., in the area. Oh, hello to Nancy from bedtime. Oh, Paula, hello. Sorry I missed the start. Catching up now. Okay, I'm up to date with the chat. I think so. Oh, everybody's saying ta-ta to Lady Witch, ta-ta to now. This gang weren't your average gang. They were all at uni and high intelligence towards the Russian establishment. There's, there were quite a lot of theories bandied around there as well, weren't they? That, some of these students were kind of pre-KGB trainees, shall we say? Cooper, go and lie down. Oh, this dog is doing my nutting. Cooper, lie down. Come on. Come here. Little shitbag. Now, this was something that I think Frida mentioned before about the radioactivity. So some people, there's a lot of researchers, as we know, and some of them were claimed, that several facts had been suppressed by officials, that the Russian government had tried to hide a lot of the real truth, facts and the truth. I'm not saying that they didn't, because I don't think we're ever going to fully know, are we? But one of the claims that was made, and again, this also gained a footing and people started to run with it, was that some of the clothes recovered during the rescue operation were tested to be highly radioactive. Now, this is one of the theories that, again, has apparently been debunked, but debunked by whom? Now, this is a fact. A good amount of scrap metal was found in the area where the Dyatlov Pass area, which would indicate that there was secret military activities in that region. Now that is the truth. So, we do know that the Russian military were in that area. So could it have been these parachute mines? Could it have been that the hikers were in the wrong place at the wrong time? Now, there was a separate group of hikers who were about 50 kilometers to the south of the Dyatlov party. Now, those hikers reportedly saw orange spheres in the sky at night to the north of the location of the incident. And while this may fit in with the parachute mines theory, as I mentioned before, what is weird is that similar orange orbs were also seen in Ivdel and surrounding areas for a month straight from February to March. Now, there are apparently a lot of independent witnesses, including people in the military and the meteorological service. Now, that then sparked the alien abduction and torture theory that started to gain a footing. So it was, for every theory, there's then a whole bizarre train of thought just comes on the back of it. So, and this is why this particular case, it's so fascinating. Oh my God, I was married to an Aries. Let's send that. Oh yeah, you're in the land of the Aries, Paula Parkinson. Yeah, there are 5 of us, aren't there? Yeah, Porky and me. Well, look at us. We're an Aries couple, me and Porky. There's a day between us. His birthday's the 26th, mine's the 27th. So we've got us two. Then we've got Bedtime Clown on the 30th, and then we've got Lady Witch and Tismy Denny on the 2nd of April. Yeah. Don't mess with the Aries clan. Right, so this is the guy I was just talking about. Oh, you're married to an Aries as well, Julia. Oh, we're all with the best. Now, Oh, this is a really unfortunate name. Yuri Kuntsevich, which is Kuntsevich. So Yuri Kuntsevich. Now, he was 12 years old at the time, and this is the guy who became the head of the Yekaterinburg-based Dyatlov Foundation I was just not talking about. Now, he apparently attended the funerals of all the dead hikers, and he saw deep brown tan on the skins of the victims, and no explanation has ever been given for what that tan was. So, another thing. Now, just to end off it does, doesn't it? It absolutely does, Frida. I might have to have that one myself next time. Miss Kuntsevich. So the last of the facts, shall we say? I have got a few more, but these were for the main, just for the history of the case itself. So the last camp that the group set up before the incident sat directly between Baikonur Cosmodrome and, I've got to say this right, Chyornya Guba, which is the Novaya Zemlya archipelago. Now, Baikonur Cosmodrome was the site where several R-7 test launches took place, and Chyornya Guba on the Novaya Zemlya archipelago was the Soviet Union's nuclear testing ground. And yes, there you go, simples. The tan, radiation burns, the suggestion that things had been hidden because of the radiation found on the clothing, which then started to be debunked. But as we said, by whom was it debunked? The Russian government? Do we trust them? Absolutely not. Thought the tan was through thawing. It could have been. It could have, because sometimes when it's the skin becomes desiccated, doesn't it? If when it's subjected, it's a bit like mummification, or when the bodies go into the peat bogs. So sometimes you can get that. It's like frost burn, isn't it, on the skin? But it can also occur with radiation. So now, I'm just going to bring up some of these weird. Now, these are some questions that are very popular, and I thought it'd just be a good idea to have a little bit of a discussion about them and see what you all think. So I'm going to throw one of them out first. So some of the bodies, as we just discussed, were found 4 meters underneath the snow, but the footprints were visible. So their footprints up to that 4 meters of snow were visible. How? Has anybody got a suggestion for that one? And then we've also, yes, still want to believe it was alien. Well, do you know, Julia, we can't say it wasn't, can we not? We can't say it wasn't. However, hang on a sec. Did someone bury them under the snow? Well, you see, that sort of leads to support this, that the Russian government moved the bodies, but yet there were no other footprints found. There were no other footprints found, only the footprints of the 9. Or something, yeah, or something. I think we're going along there. Now, another thing as well. So as you know, well, most of you will know, hypothermia, severe hypothermia, that can cause, or it will cause, hallucination and disorientation. So if they, as was suggested initially, that they all died of hypothermia, so if they're all suffering from hypothermia, which causes hallucinations and disorientation, how come some of them were able to act rationally and build a fire under the cedar tree? You know, wouldn't they all be kind of suffering from the same illusions or delusions within minutes of each other? Have to go look at a bit of fun, and I'll catch up tomorrow. Oh, lovely to see you, Paul, and I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling much better now, love, getting your rest in. Oh, sorry about that. The dog's shouting good night to you, Paula. You take care, love, and hopefully we'll catch you in the week. Would they all bite the tongues off? Do you know what? I heard somebody was saying that there was a discussion I took part in on Twitter ages ago, and this guy was absolutely adamant. He's like, I know what happened. They bit the tongues off, and people were like, well, where were they? Because they didn't have the tongues in the stomachs, and the tongues weren't found nearby, and they would have been. Absolutely said he does need to shut the F up. Doesn't hypothermia make them strip off? It does. That's actually called, Mrs. Mercury. It has a name. It's called paradoxical undressing. And because the severe cold, it gets to the nerve endings and it causes them to burn. So you feel like you're actually on fire, even though you're not. So people, who are suffering from severe hypothermia and frostbite, they just start to strip off. But yeah, I always liked that name. So that's called paradoxical undressing. And yeah, and they reckon that was what these had. However, the ones who'd made the fire, hadn't they, from what I can remember, they had started, so obviously they lived longer than the comrades, because they had started to remove items of the dead comrades' clothing in order to try and keep warm, but they'd also burnt their extremities, so they burnt like the toes off, being right next to the fire trying to keep warm. The cat shut herself when Cooper barked. Oh, sorry, cat. Now, this is one relating to the radiation. But again, are we going to get a correct answer? Because we keep getting told this didn't happen. But apparently, if the clothes were radioactive, what kind of radiation are we talking about? How deep did the radiation penetrate? Had it penetrated through the clothes into the body, or was it just on the clothing? These are questions that we need, we need answers to. Oh God, they all suffered one way or another. They did, Mrs. Mercury. They absolutely did. The only thing you could say is that at that point, that burning the toes and the fingers or what have you, they wouldn't have felt it how we would have. They'd have just felt so cold. They wouldn't have been aware that they were burning, burning the skin. It's really sad though, isn't it? Now, this is something else that's never been answered. So the chap who had the severe skull injuries, what kind of injury was it? Was it a pressure injury or was it an impact injury? That's never been answered. And also, this is another one as well. that nobody's been able to provide the information on. If you want to go along with the parachute mines theory, and not that the Russian military will probably ever release this, even when they're talking to everybody again, because they still haven't up to this date. They've never ever, well, there've never been any records released or found that of any aircraft flying in that area on that night. And that, if there were aircraft there, that might support the parachute mine theory. But there's never been any admission of any, flights in that area at that time. So that's where we're up to so far. I do have some more little bits and pieces that I wrote down, which I'm just going to... Oh, finally the dog lies down. So, yeah, so I don't know what you think about those little, just little questions that spring to mind, and you're like, right, okay. Now, there's something else as well. When I'd been reading through, before I go into these next little bits and pieces, it's just something about the tent. Actually, no. I'll tell you what. I'll keep hold of that, because we've not really gone into the whole tent thing yet, have we? About how they were found. Julie, to break bones inside without external damage is mind-blowing. Don't trust the Russian government, lying bastards. No, Frida, I know. Sorry, I've been scrapping with Chucky, so I missed about 20 minutes. Don't worry, Mrs. Mercury, it's fine. As you know, I leave them up, so it's not a problem. So, if I talk about the tent, now, the tent, as most of you will know, was... they found it and it was collapsed under, there was a weight of snow on it, and the center of the tent was collapsed. It was partially buried. Now, one of the things that puzzles people is that when they left the tent, they left, the most important things that they need, torches, clothing more than anything. The tent was cut open from the inside. Now, as we've discussed this before, what could make somebody so frightened, a group, not just one person on their own, yeah, you can get spooked, but a group of people so frightened, so terrified, that instead of just opening the tent the normal way through the tent door, they were forced to quickly cut a hole to escape. Now, along with the apparent need to create an immediate escape point, they left almost all of their material goods behind, including all the cold weather gear. Now, in February, the Ural Mountains have got a temperature of... I've got to work this out because I'd written this down. It's minus 16 degrees Celsius. So that's 2.1 Fahrenheit. Maybe something was at the entrance, Frida. Maybe it was. Again, it's just question after question. Nothing ever answers your question, because whatever you ask, there'll be another reason why that isn't the case, So, sorry, I'm talking in riddles at the moment. It's just because I've got this. There's a couple of things that I want to bring up, and I don't want to kind of give them away at the moment. So I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little bit cryptic. So, they left jackets, gloves, the pants, all the warm clothing, as well as navigation supplies like the compasses and so on. Now, in the tent, there were 3 axes and 2 finished knives, and they were for basic camping practices like wood cutting. But even with items that they could have used as weapons, so they've got these axes and they've got these finished knives, which are, I don't know if anyone's ever seen a finished knife. It's not a butter knife, you know what I mean? It's a proper knife. So even though they have items that they can use as weapons to defend themselves, they still fled in a panic. Now, one hiker, so that's Semyon Zolotaryov, he fled the tent without any clothing or gear, but took his camera. Why? Nothing inside the tent looked like they acted in panic, just all placed as so. Yeah. Julie, when divers of pressure of deep water, what happens? Can that cave the chest in? Do you know what? I don't know, but I bet Simples will know, because Simple being a nurse. I don't know if you can answer that, Simple's meerkat. Don't trust any government free. Yeah, this is it, Sid. There's none of them. None of them could lie straight in bed. There were pictures on the camera, Mrs. Mercury. There were some very intriguing pictures as well, and I'll get to those shortly. Now, I think the main thing to remember with that one is, in the middle of winter, 9 experienced, underline that word, experienced hikers became so frightened of some unknown threat that they risked hypothermia and exposure to escape this fate that was, to them, worse than death itself. When the thought of freezing was better than imminent death, you've got to ask yourself, what the fuck was it? That to me, and I'm really sorry to use this as a comparison because as tragedies go, they're not related whatsoever, but by having used that phrase where I say that, you know, what makes you choose that as the better option, it always reminds me of 9/11, you know, when that horrendous heat was going on, when the fires broke out in the building. And I remember the firefighters in one of the documentaries had said, you know, when there were the jumpers, saying, how bad must it have been in those buildings that the better option is to jump. And it's something like that where people like us, you know, just in day-to-day life, we cannot imagine being in that kind of a situation. You can imagine it, but you'll never experience it. And I pray to the gods that, you know, you never do. And it's the same with these guys. When that, you know that you are going to freeze to death and it's still the better option. What the fuck did they see? No, she's not, Jules. She was going to set her alarm, but she might be having a bit of a lie-in, which is not a problem. Now, based on what was in the tent, we know that the hikers left nearly all the belongings behind. So as I said, it was all the cold weather gear, you know. When they were finally located, the rescue teams, they discovered that 5 of them were nearly naked, now wearing, you know, nothing but underwear. And, you know, a few of them had socks on as well. Now, this caused a few researchers to be quite perplexed as to why people who are very familiar with the weather in Russia, and specifically the Ural Mountains, would have left themselves so exposed to the elements. Now, a lot of people believe that the lack of clothing on the victims was a case of, as we just discussed, paradoxical undressing. So that occurs in cases of lethal hypothermia. They feel as though the bodies are succumbing to a blaze of heat, when in fact, the nerves in the blood vessels are suffering from paralysis. That leads to vasodilation, which gives the sufferer the feeling of intense heat. See, as Sid's just said there, wherever it was something they knew they couldn't defeat with knives or axes. Yes, indeed it did. Yeah. Fully agree, and you're spot on with that. And again, what the hell? I just think sometimes, you know what? I mean, we have all these theories over what it could have been, but I sometimes think, what kind of a horror did they see or hear? All in bed from the well, the thing is, Fern, that's it. They didn't complete the journals that night. We know that they'd eaten, so they'd had their evening meal. They hadn't got as far. They did the pamphlet, but they hadn't completed their individual journals for that night just before they went to sleep. And whatever it was happened very quickly, because they were, you know, you can see that they'd actually had a normal day. They'd followed the usual course of events. They'd cooked, they'd eaten, they'd sat around, and between finishing the meal, producing the pamphlet, and about to start the journals, this happened. If something was coming in an entrance of a tent, you would exit whatever way you could, cutting the top of the tent. Yeah. Well, I'll carry on with this before I get onto the tent cuttings. I'm really sorry, Frida. I sound like I'm fobbing you off, but I'm not. Now, there was a bit of a macabre discovery made as more of these corpses were being found. These 4 other hikers, the 4 of them who were found under the snow, the 4 meters of snow, they were nearly completely clothed. Now, when they investigated the photographs that were taken by these students, they found that these hikers had taken the clothes off, as I mentioned earlier, off their dead companions. They did clothing comparisons from the photographs, and it shows that the last 4 people took the clothes off the dead friends. So they took the clothes from the dead 5 in a last-ditch effort to stay warm and survive the extreme cold. And if that happened, why did they not sit around, you know, because don't forget, there was a fire lit under the cedar tree where, you know, in the direction of where the 5 were, there was a fire lit there. 3 of them were already heading back towards the tent. Didn't some of them have other people's? Oh, snap. Yeah, yes, Frida. So, and I think then again, it also gets you into that mindset. If you think about the fact that you're having to scavenge the corpses of your friends, doesn't that just add to this, like, the horror of being pursued by a threat that's not really got any sort of an identity? Okay, Fern. Now, we're going to get on to the injuries. As if things weren't weird enough, once they started to find these bodies, each person had inconsistent injuries. Now, different people suffered different injuries, but what we can agree on is that all of them were fleeing from some unknown threat or fear. The first 2, as I said before, sorry, hiccuping. As I said before, the first 2 that were discovered were Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Kurvonyshenko. Now, they were the victims who were found closest to the tent. Their hands were, well, it was described as being brutalized severely. They resembled bloody masses. The tree near their bodies revealed chunks of human flesh embedded in the cracks in the bark. The men had been so terrified they tore the hands to pieces in an attempt to climb to a safer place. You remember I was saying that these branches were dragged off the tree. They were broken 15 feet up, 5 meters from the ground up. And these are some of the facts that they're not as well known as the others, but yeah, their hands were an absolute bloody mess. So that's the first two. Igor Dyatlov was found shortly after these two. His state of unrest was just as unnerving. He was lying on his back. His corpse was found with his jacket unbuttoned, both his hands clenched tightly to his chest, and his face was covered with minor abrasions. Then we got on to the next one found was Rustem Slobodin, and his corpse presented us with a new, let's say, devastating injury. Along with other minor scrapes, his skull was fractured. Now, initially they were saying it was a little crack. It wasn't. It was actually severely fractured. There was a 6 centimetre, which is 2.4 inches, fracture split the left side of his head. Now, despite this injury, the experts were still convinced that he died of hypothermia. Go figure. Then we've got Zenaida Kolmogorova, and she was found to have suffered loads of injuries to her face. But again, her hands took the brunt of the damage. There were abrasions and frostbite, which ravaged her hands and her fingers. So I'll just check on the chat. Now, I don't think it was either Simples. It wasn't human. Miss Mercury, it definitely seems supernatural. Aliens, sound waves, nuclear testing, government experiment covered up. Definitely think there's a government experiment. I don't know if I'm not sure if I think it was the government were responsible, but I definitely think the government tried to cover it up. They didn't want questions being asked or answered. No human would have done that. No, they wouldn't, Jules. They wouldn't. So we're going to fast forward 2 months. So another 2 months go by. Then they start finding the other hikers. Now, their injuries were just as odd. So we've got Nikolai, and I can never say this guy's name, Thibio Brignoles. Now, he was discovered well-dressed under all these layers of snow, but his skull had been bashed in. So his jaw and his skull were severely fractured. But this is bizarre. There was no outside damage. The severe injuries on the inside couldn't be easily identified just from looking at him, looking at his body. You know, how does that happen? Frida, let's face it, most people who've been found out in the cold extremes don't have injuries like this. They don't, Frida. They absolutely don't. And like I just mentioned with that one, how do you have your head stoved in, but only on the inside? You've got no signs, external signs that is what, you know, that your head's basically been squished. So we've got that. Then we're getting on to some even stranger ones. So Alexander Kolevatov and Semyon Zolotaryov. These are the weirdy ones. Zolotaryov was missing his eyes and the soft tissue around his eyes, so the ocular area. His skull had a wide wound, and his chest was so compressed that it had spread and broken his ribs. And this is what Frida was asking before. Now, Kolevatov too, he was also missing soft tissue around his eyes and on his skull, along with now he had an open wound in his skull behind his ear. But the most shocking of all of them was Ludmila Dubinina. Now, she was discovered with all the soft tissues missing from most of her face. Both her eyes were gone. Her nose was completely crushed. Her mouth was kind of her mouth was set in like an open position. It almost looked like she was screaming, and that was how it was set as she died. And when they looked at it even closely, her tongue had been removed. Now, not a single expert, doctor, coroner, anybody has ever been able to explain why each body was so drastically different regarding the injuries that they'd sustained. And it's still never been answered what could have caused all these horrific injuries. You know, if they'd all suffered the same fate, they would all have very similar injuries, wouldn't they? You know, there might be a few anomalies, but you would expect, say for example, if the avalanche theory was correct, you would expect them all to have very similar injuries. It was the tongues looked like they'd been torn out, Simples. And I know where you're going with it, a bit like the cattle mutilation. It wasn't that clean. However, because don't forget that these with the eyes missing, they had been buried under the snow, for 2 months. Yes, violent removal. They weren't kind of cut out with laser. Oh, excuse me a second. Dog, stop it. Sorry, there's just an alarm going off in the street then. Come here, lie down. We don't want you barking while we're talking stories. Good boy. Little shit. So, when the medical examiners started to go through these, check the bodies, go through the injuries and what have you. So we're talking missing tongues through to cranial fractures. No matter what happened externally, they ruled every single cause of death as hypothermia. Why? Even though that probably wasn't the immediate cause of death for all of them, every single one of them, the cause of death was put down as hypothermia, frostbite and hypothermia. Sorry, I've missed the frostbite bit off. Now, there was another explanation written down for some of these injuries. It still wasn't given as a cause of death, but the chest, the massive internal injuries, that were like compression fractures. These were put down as being caused by an unknown compelling force that was used to injure and kill them. Well, Mrs. Mercury, we're talking Cold War Russia. They got away with an awful lot, didn't they? Yeah, I know, Frida. I know. Surprised it wasn't COVID. That's getting pinned on my screen, Sid. But yeah. Now, there's never ever been a plausible indication of what this unknown compelling unknown compelling force was. They said it, but they didn't say if it could have been an avalanche, if it could have been caused by a fall, which we know it couldn't have been. Those kind of injuries are not caused by, people saying, oh, they probably fell out of a tree or something. But nobody's ever offered a plausible explanation to what this compelling force is. You know, they even said that some of these injuries were similar to those suffered by people who have been involved in a high-speed car crash. So any research that was done by the medical examiners on this compelling force, in inverted commas, was just ended with a few scribbled words in an autopsy file. Did they know more than they were letting on? I think so. I don't know what you guys think, but I think they'd been advised not to divulge anything further. Now, the next thing was that after they examined the bodies, everything was done and the compelling force was stirring the air with investigators. The case was closed almost immediately. The Russian government officials took all documentation about the case and the possible causes of death, and they sealed them by issuing a government resolution. A coroner would know what force would be necessary to collapse someone's chest and break ribs in that manner, not to mention the cranial fractures. Yeah. But then giving no, yeah. Yes, Frida, absolutely. Julie, with no external bruising. Yeah, no external bruising, no signs. God only knows what secrets are kept in the Kremlin. Well, it's going to be like the like in the Vatican as well, isn't it? They're hiding a few secrets as well. Absolutely, it's a cover-up, Jules. It's just I want to know what they're covering up. Are they covering up a Yeti? Are they covering up military activity? Are they covering up aliens living up there? What is it? Now, before adding Dyatlov Pass incident to the realm of cold cases, some investigators did try to come up with some explanations as to what may have happened to the hikers. So they did attempt to do some reenactments of that night, but the reenactments didn't really answer any of the questions. You know, there were enough dead ends and disappointments in these reenactments that you know, when they closed the case, they just shrugged and gave up. But the compelling force was once again raising its unnerving head, as the official case files for the incident claimed that this force was the reason for the deaths of the members of the hiking party. So the investigators kind of went against the medical examiners, because the medical examiners put down that it was caused by frostbite and hypothermia. However, the investigators then put it down that it was this compelling force. Now, due to the lack of, we're going to use compelling again, but due to the lack of compelling evidence and the way that the government and its investigators tried to hush it up, the Dyatlov Pass incident quickly became, as I'm proving tonight, it became fodder for conspiracy theories. But it raised a lot of interest around the world. This is why we're all here tonight, having a good old listen to it. Everybody wants to know what happened to the hikers. Julia, I think if it was a Yeti, there would have been claw marks on the bodies. Well, now this is one of the conversations that went on with some of the Mansi, is that they had, in that area, they don't call it a Yeti, they call it a menk, M-E-N-K. That's the local word for this creature that is very Yeti-like, Bigfoot-like, and that lives up in the mountains of the dead. And there were a lot of Mansi tales about children and women who have been in the forest alone, you know, without protection, being snatched up and taken by these menk and never being seen again. Now, they said that the menks, these yetis, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them, that they were very partial to, you know, they would often find deer, moose, whatever. They would find animal, even cattle, if they'd strayed around, the Manx would always take the tongues out of these animals. And I think that's where the link started to happen because of what happened to Ludmila. Her tongue had basically been ripped out of her mouth. And this seemed to be something that these Manx do with their prey, you know, the animals that they prey upon. Just a thought, but that's why the Yeti thing started to gain a bit of traction. Not saying it's true, not saying it's not, but that's where that came from, and the fact that there were so many similarities with the stories that the Mansi were telling about what they perceived to be the biggest threat up in the Mountain of the Dead. Now, let's go on to the radiation. So, the initial reports were that the clothes of the hikers contained extremely high levels of radiation. When they had a deeper look at it, the campsite was also said to be giving off large amounts of radiation as well. And you know, this obviously is you have to class this as hearsay, but the members of the hikers' families, this was many members of the hikers' families, they commented that during the funeral services, the bodies of their family members appeared to be giving off a bit of an unnatural orange glow, and that some of their hair had gone grey. Now, the orange coloration was thought to be due to the intense radiation at the scene of the deaths. Now, because this time it was, well, sorry, I'll just check Julie's. If human footprints were there, surely they would have left tracks as well. Yeah, Julia, they were the only footprints that were there were the ones of the hikers. Back my gangs always need me as soon as I get into something. Oh, don't worry, Fern. Well, like I said, I'll leave this one up. So, we've gone through a few of the theories. So now there we go, Mrs. Mercury. I was just going to say this because the hair still grows and fear turns it grey. Ah. Now, because nuclear weapons and so on, it was still I'm going to say relatively new field. It was thought that, maybe the hikers had come across some Russian testing zone, which then led to the deaths. Oh, hang on a minute. Is Fern going? Oh, no, I think Fern's just come back, Frida. There were tracks going away orderly towards the trees as they left. Seen pics of the bodies. I know, Frida, they're awful, aren't they? Especially the ones where they're thawing them out before they could carry out the autopsies. They're the stuff of nightmares, aren't they? Especially Ludmila, where a mouth's open looking in that dead scream. It's horrible. So now Russian authorities, again, do we trust them? They assured people that no testing was going on in that area. Another speculation was that radiation found on the hikers and in the area was from the environmental makeup of the area itself, that it was naturally spewing radiation. Now, I'd never heard of that before, and that theory got dismissed. Hair can turn grey overnight. My dad's did at the temple sideburn when he had pleurisy. Did it, Simples? Oh my goodness. Gran's hair turned white overnight in her 20s. Was that from fear, Fern? So yes, you've got to kind of ask, did they come across some unknown military site? and then become the unexpected victims of nuclear testing. If no testing was occurring in that area, how did these hikers become so irradiated that it essentially changed the chemical makeup of the skin and the hair? Now, a military explanation may seem most likely. The hikers were found without external damage, which would account for it could account for a radiation blast. But the radiation, like so many other aspects, surrounding this incident, that is still a mystery. Now, just give me 1 second. No, I'm all right, thank you. Knew a young girl who got a shock of grey hair from a shock. Wow. Julie, it happened to my cousin after a suicide. His hair grew and was grey. Oh, gosh. Wow, I didn't think her turning grey overnight was true. Thought, Mrs. Mercury, I was the same. You see films, don't you? And someone will have a shock and they end up with like a streak of white in the hair. I'll tell you when it was. I watched Constantine, that with Keanu Reeves in it. They're doing like he's casting out a demon, isn't he? There's that little girl and he's casting a demon out of her and he's saying as they're trying to get the demon out, he's saying to all the family, don't look at it, don't look at it. And one of the family members looks up and you see his hair suddenly turn white. Give me 1 second. No, but you told me I had to.
Yeah, so get on with that.
Yeah, I am doing. Enjoy your cake. I only managed half of mine. So Porky's just eating a cake. What? Oh, hang on a minute. What was the name of the place we went to? I was trying to tell Mrs. Mercury.
Plum Tree Farm, I think.
Mrs. Mercury. It's called Plum Tree Farm, and it's near the B&Q, just before you get to the roundabout to the M55. You need to go because the puddings, well, the cakes are absolutely gigantic. Right, we just had a little porky interval there. Okie dokie. Right, we're going to go through the lights in the sky. So, is it near the big car showrooms? It is, Mrs. Mercury. Have you been? Child of Porky got a giant chocolate eclair. It weighs a bleeding ton. He's got a slice of carrot cake that is about 8 or 9 inches. It's probably longer, actually. And I got a Galaxy caramel cheesecake. Now, I've got a sweet tooth and I tucked into it and I don't even think I've managed to eat half of it. They're absolutely, and they're only like not even a £5 each. Well, no, about £5 each. These desserts are massive. I'll tell you what I should do. Hang on, bear with me a second. We'll have a mini break. Because he's tucking into this, and if I can get it on the camera, you might be able to get an idea of how big this pudding is. Have you finished with your pudding?
Yes.
Oh, have you? Oh, I was just going to try and put it on camera and show them.
I can whip my pudding out for you.
just excuse me while he whips this out.
I've eaten some.
Right, hang on. We'll put his hand near it so you can kind of see it. Oh, hang on. It's absolutely gigantic. There
Yeah,
you
but
go.
what about the pudding?
Yeah, fnaf. Thank you.
No, piss off.
Oh, Mrs. Mercury, yeah. Oh, sorry, I was out of the room. We're in the kitchen then, so let's have a look. Mrs. Mercury, yes, about 4 years ago, we had a carvery. We was too full for dessert. I will be going back now. I swear to God, no, they say you take a cake away, 3 days worth just there. Enough for 3 people.
Yeah,
Jules, that's a big one. Hey, Porky, you've got a big one.
I know, it's enough for 10 minutes. I don't know about that.
Did you all hear that, lad? It's enough for 10 minutes. He doesn't know about 3 people. Porky, pudding and pie kissed the girls and made them cry. Yes, Julia, that's him. So yeah, that was our little pudding interlude. But yeah, Mrs. Mercury, absolutely go there. We all had the fish and chip, the chippy supper, and it was a massive fish, a battered sausage, and scampi. And then you got your chips and bread, and you got like a little thing to pour on either gravy or curry sauce. So we had one of those each. I didn't eat my sausage though, despite what Denny may say. And then we obviously had to bring the puddings home. There's no way we could. See, I didn't believe him because we're going, you'll never be able to eat it. Pudding interlude. Most people play tunes. I show puddings. When I finish this, I'm going to actually finish my pudding. What are you laughing at? Oh, God, I can hear him cackling in the kitchen. What are you laughing at? Did you hear that, guys? I don't know if you heard that or not. He said, I've seen fucking sparrows eat more than you. I've not done so bad this weekend. I never eat out. I only eat like a budget. Oh, he's just said the same about me, Jules. Is he using a fork? I don't know. Were you using a fork?
Yeah.
Yes, he was. He's civilized. I used a spoon for mine. I'm obviously a cave woman. I was dragged up, not brought up. Because I could only eat a third of that. Yeah, well, I started digging in, thinking, oh, I'm going to wallop this. I'm going to Rambo it. And I didn't. It had to go back in the fridge. I've never seen anything like it. I swear to God, you should have seen the size of the giant eclair. Like I said, it's at least a foot long. It weighed a ton. It was filled full of cream and creme pat. It was covered in chocolate. All this beautiful choux. Oh God, it was absolutely. It looked delicious. Now she can eat as well, and she waltzed off upstairs with it. And then the next minute, I went in the fridge, and it's back in there. And she'd eaten probably a fifth of it. So she was defeated as well. Having said that, though, she's the only person who's had any tea because I made a stew yesterday because I was going out with my friends last night. I made a stew for these. So they had some for the tea last night and she's had a big bowl of it for her tea. And I don't think you've not had any tea, have you, babe?
No, you're starving me.
Okay.
I've not had any tea. You put me on a diet, didn't you?
No.
Yeah, you did. You said you're not allowed to eat anything for a week, you fat bastard.
If any of you can hear the shit he's coming out with there, take the notice. Simples, what are you telling us about here? Got chocolate ground rice, blitz smooth in a blender. So it's just, oh, those eat all you can for so much are wasted on me. Well, you'd think so. We went to this place in, again, Mrs. Mercury's probably heard of it, Mr. Bass Rise in Blackpool. We went last Friday. That's like an all you can eat, and it's foods of the world. Only I really fucked up the first time I went because I got some of the Chinese chili chicken, and it was so hot. Porky, come and have a look. Look what Frida said. I don't think she means you look like a fat bastard. I think she means you don't look on the diet because you're eating cake.
Mm-hmm. Funny how quick you can go off people, isn't it? I used to like that Frida Beck.
Said he used to like you, Frida. Bye, baby. Cooper, get off me. I'll let you know if Frida comes back and says that's not what she meant. You what? You've what? Oh, Frida, he's just said you're dead to him. You can fuck off. Oh, she's laughing at you, Porky. Oh my god, Cooper, get off me now. Get off me. Oh god, I've got the dog now. Oh, I love sticky toffee pudding. Oh, Jules, you'll have to make one for me. I love sticky toffee pudding. Yeah, Mrs. Mercury, if you've not heard of that one, you need to go. It's all the different foods of the of the world. So they do like Chinese and Indian, Mexican, Italian, and this is how bad it is. The desserts bit, so they do all the, loads of different desserts, but they've got a chocolate fountain going. Well, when I went last time, I put a pudding bowl, underneath the chocolate fountain and filled it up with melted chocolate. I just sat there drinking it like it was soup. I was so sick. Oh, he knows that, Frida. I'm not looking at his figure, just what he's eating. I know I said that, but I just wanted him to think you meant he was a fat bastard. You've got what in bed with you, Simples? A turd? Oh, yuck, I can't do those chocolate fountains. Make me feel ill looking at them. Oh no, but it was really nice. I was just being decadent. I thought, oh sod it, it's only 20 quid. Get in there. But yeah, these two go and they annihilate the the duck. Simples, it was lovely. It was just melted, beautiful melted chocolate. It was so nice. And it wasn't cheap, shitty chocolate either. It tasted like Cadbury's. Oh, it's gorgeous. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going completely off track. And I should be telling you these stories. Oh, I know, Mrs. Mercury. No, don't do Slimming World. Pork chop dead to me. Oh no, but look what she's put, Porky. I'm not looking at his figure, just what he's eating. A turd. Yeah, but we were talking. That's it, Jules, isn't it? She's put a turd on. I've got one in bed with me. I want Fern. I want one of those. I want one of those fountains. Frida, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. We always do it, don't we? Yeah. Simples, what have you got in bed with you? Slimming World, admit the truth. You've got one in the loft. Hang on, what have we got in the loft now? Because we're talking about turds in bed. A chocolate fountain. If I got a chocolate fountain, Fern, I would be the biggest, fattest bastard on the planet. Unless they're smutting the story, the normal format is fact, I know. Oh, you've got a huge feck-off massive bowl of chocolate pudding. Well, you put a turd on, so we all thought you had a turd in bed with you. Thought Titney had a quick sneaky shit on the bed sheets. Note to self, get rid of the chocolate fountain. Oh, did we got one? Is there one in the loft? I think you'd like me as a big fat bastard, Porky. It will look like that soon. Oh dear. Okay. Okay. I'll try and stay a little bit thinner. Not very thin, but a little bit. Okay. I need to get back to this story, don't I? We need to cover the lights in the sky. Now we've all been very silly. We've talked about food. We've talked about turds. We've talked about Porky's weight. We've talked about my weight. We've all wondered what Simples was in bed with. So what do we call it? Our pudding interlude. As Bart Simpson said, if you get fat, there's just more of you to love. Yes! Good to know at this rate I've only missed the first 2 minutes. No, you've not. You've actually missed. Oh my God, I've been on 2.5 hours. Bloody hell. Cake's always a distraction. Wonderful. It is, Fern. I love cake. Right, I'm going to crack on with this because otherwise I'll never get it finished. My phone will go flat. There's an orgasm on the way. Oh, you can't beat a cake-induced orgasm, Simples. Just saying. Right, so let me get back to Dyatlov. So we've gone through the injuries, we've gone through the autopsies, we've gone through some weird and wonderfuls, and now we're going to talk about the lights in the sky. So, on the night that they all died, again, a few of these bits and pieces I've mentioned earlier when I was going through the facts of the case. There were another set of hikers. They were quite a distance away from the Dyatlov Pass group. Hang on, your phone will go flat. We run out of fucking electricity or something. No, but there's nowhere I can plug it in where I'm sat, is there? Moron. And with no extension lead. So, right, I shall get back. Okay. So there was another set of hikers who were quite a distance away from the Dyatlov Pass group. Now, they claimed to have seen multiple strange orange spheres that were hovering in the northern sky. Now, during the 6 weeks, these spheres were common occurrence in all the surrounding areas. In addition, yeah, that's right, Fern, that's right. saw the fireballs. February the 17th, 1959, it was noted for miles. Well, it went on, like we say, it went on for 6 weeks. Now, Lev Ivanov, who was in charge of the investigation at Dyatlov Pass, he put in his report at the time that the tops of the trees around the hikers and their campsite were charred and burned. Now, during this era, the thought of UFOs causing this sort of damage was unheard of. Probably wouldn't have been believed. But Ivanov put these strange things into his records. Strange orange spheres. Dotty being hit in the fake tan again. I think they're strange orange pancakes, aren't they? Now, this Ivanov, he kept up his research into the possible relationship between UFOs and the Dyatlov Pass incident, and he was just met with resistance the entire way. So, but it depends what it was. I mean, they could have seen them, Fern, seen these, the spheres. Oh, you meant to bollocks. Strange orange spheres. Oh, it could have been a curtains. She's been tangoed. Now, Ivanov was prevented from looking at any KGB documents about the investigation. It was just blocked at every turn. And in an interview, he gave an interview in the 1990s, and he claimed that he was pressured by Russian officials to doctor and repeal from his records any information about UFOs in relation to the Dyatlov Pass case. They pressured him to do that. Why? Now, was the government, were they trying to keep him quiet? What were they trying to hide? Now, an argument that stood the test of time with this is that the hikers came across a group of aliens that didn't want to be discovered. And as wild as this might seem to be, there are those people who believe this to be true. Given the horrendous injuries that Dubnina suffered, which is namely a tongue missing, her eyes and internal damage, many believe that the only way to suffer such mutilation is through the work of aliens. And some even say that the aliens took her body parts for trophies. So again, we're going back to what I was talking about earlier with Linda Moulton Howe and her theories on the cattle mutilations in, where did Lady Witch say it was, Utah? Now, we're now going to get onto the camera that we were also mentioning earlier. Was they took many cameras with them, and most of the photos that they took were completely normal. You know, it was pictures of the group, pictures of the forest and what have you, the campsite, views, what have you, you know, on the course of the journey. But there's one photo that interested the investigators, and the very last image on Krivonishenko's camera shows some bright object moving against a dark background. Now, this image, some of you may have heard of, they call this image, they give it a name, they called it the 33rd frame. So if ever any of you have heard of the 33rd frame in connection with the Dyatlov Pass incident, this is what it's about. Now, what makes the taking of this photograph even more interesting is the fact that it was discovered after the death of the hikers. When they examined the tent, they found that Krivonishenko's camera was on an improvised tripod. Now, the lens cap was open and the camera was ready to shoot. The hikers had sat for a time, thought about setting up the tripod and camera before they made the escape from the tent. Now, were they setting up the camera to capture an image of whatever ended their lives? Who knows? what did they see up in the mountains that made them do this? And bear in mind as well, this was to take a photograph through one of the slits in the tent, and they'd made a lot of slits in the tent all the way around. Now, one of these slits that was made in the tent, this was what I wanted to mention before. It was actually through a seam. So because it went through a seam of the tent, this wouldn't have been easy to cut. You know, it would have been quite difficult to cut through. And it would have definitely been difficult to cut through quickly. And also, as it's very close to the door of the tent, that sort of contradicts the theory, you know, that it was intended to, it was cut intended to be used to make a quick exit. The cut after it's made appears to have been pulled, which was tearing it, you know, and tearing a bigger hole in the tent. It just baffles me. So the thing, as I said before, you know, they'd eaten, they didn't quite get as far as completing the journals, but something happened that deteriorated the, let's say, the cognitive state, if you will, of all 9 of them. There's a lot of theories about that, you know, as to what that could have been. Could it have been a stress reaction? You know, some people have mentioned folie à deux, which is, you know, what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago about those crazy Swedish twins who ran into the road. And I mean, I don't know if folie adieu to you and you, folie à deux, if it can be suffered from or yeah, by more than 2 people. Depending on the circumstances, could there be some form of a, let's think of the words now, symbiotic delusion? You know, could that, I don't know. I mean, words are failing me on this one. That's it for Madness of 9. That's why I was saying, you know, I was just trying to think of a word for it. Yeah, pork chop, mass hysteria. This is it, like a psychotic infection. But as I said, then symbiotic delusion, would that be a word to use or a phrase to use for it? Would a stress reaction go through all 9 of them to the extent that they were all suffering from the same illusion or delusion? Because it's already, you know, we already discussed it earlier. They weren't all suffering from, oh, Julia, drugs taken and paranoid delusions spread to all. Well, yeah, so we're going through, just to go back to paranoid delusions. So as we were talking about suffering from hypothermia earlier, so hypothermia can lead you then to have, you know, illusions and to see things and suffer from delusions. But we've already shown that they weren't all suffering to the same extent, because 2 of them still had the cognizance to think to light a fire. 4 of them had the cognizance to take the clothes from the dead comrades in order to try and prolong their own lives. So they weren't, yeah, I'm not going with that. These were the cream of Russian academia, all experienced hikers. Absolutely. Absolutely they were. Now, yeah, there were 9 of them, Jules. All 9. 5 found initially, and 4 of them, the bodies found 2 months later. Now, one of the final bits was, this is one of the other theories, shall we say. There isn't any conclusive evidence of what actually happened that night. We'll say the fateful night in 1959. As we've gone through them, there's a lot of theories. Some are wild ones, some seem quite plausible, but one of the most talked about theories is that they were infiltrated by the KGB. I don't know if any of you have heard this one before. The claim is that a few of the students, few of this party, were actually undercover KGB agents who were there to meet some Americans to do a controlled delivery. Right, I'm going to use that in inverted commas because who can say what a controlled delivery is? Now, the theory goes that when the Americans realised that they were being fooled and given false items, most notably samples of radioactive material, that they then kill the KGB agents and the rest of the hikers who'd obviously seen too much. So, although this might seem highly implausible, you got to think of all the cover-ups and all the hush-hushes that have gone on with this. People being told not to discuss X, Y, and Z. The medical examiners putting everybody's deaths down to hypothermia and frostbite, whereas the KGB's investigators put it down to whatever this compelling force was that had given them horrendous crush injuries. So they'd completely gone against the medical examiners' reports. There's a lot of cover-ups gone on in this. And the fact that the case was wrapped up so quickly, it was literally, right, they've all suffered from hypothermia. Okay, love you, bye, gone. Let's just close it all off. Were they really trying to keep everyone quiet? Did they know about any undercover agents? I mean, the chances are, the probabilities are that there were no agents in the group. But because there's no conclusive evidence at all, every theory that anybody has on the Dyatlov Pass incident, it's totally up for grabs. Totally up for grabs. We can keep debating this until the cows come home. So, what do you all think? Well, see, Julia, there's the other thing as well. Does anybody remember hearing about the Nikola Tesla death ray theory? That he was apparently testing out the death ray around about that time. And that the death ray would cause massive internal injuries without any extra, similar to these mines, the parachute mines. There'd been no external sign, but there'd been massive internal injury. There's a chemical change in the blood when there's a crush injury due to muscle breakdown. Hypothermia wouldn't cause it. No, it wouldn't. Same effects as the wind. That's it, Fern. That's it, with the infrasound that can be caused by these wind change directions. Yeah, Jules, absolutely. Absolutely, he would be glad he got away. And like Frida mentioned earlier, he didn't die that long ago. He's probably thanking his lucky stars he got the shits or whatever it is he was suffering from. So, what do you all think in the chat? And it doesn't matter what, because none of you are wrong. None of you are right. We've just all got our own theories. What do each of you think was the cause of this? Personally, I'm still thinking, I'm kind of torn. I don't know whether to say a Yeti or maybe an extraterrestrial Yeti. I can't decide. Yeti or UFOs, aliens. What do you all think? Rhabdomyolysis basically blocks the kidneys. Oh, hang on. So that would show up too as NAF renal function. Oh, okay. Frida, yes, this trip went so horribly wrong for experienced hikers, well equipped and well prepared. Mrs. Mercury, aliens, government experiment. Yeah. Sid Vicious, yeah, but smashed heads and chests aren't internal injuries. They're not, Sid. However, they didn't show, and there were no signs externally. So on the guy whose head was smashed in, it was bashed in from the inside. There were no like bruises, cuts, gashes, whatever on the outside of his head. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Alien and government cover up. Alien. Yeah. I think most people are kind of going the alien way. Yeah, I think it was. I was only being facetious, Fern, when I said the shits. Yeah, from what I can understand, it was sciatica. Has this happened anywhere else again? Anyone know? There is a similar case in America that I need to look into, and there is another case that's happened in, not identical, but there's another case that's happened in Russia. So again, I need to do a little bit of searching around because I don't know enough, or in fact, I don't know anything about those other two. But the American one, I need to look into that properly. Your theory is a microwave weapon. Think like the death, like the Nikola Tesla thing said. You see, some of these internal injuries that they described are similar. Did anybody watch? I know it was a mock-up, but there was that program that was, I can't remember if it was Discovery or Nat Geo, the mermaid, the body found, and they were theorizing about the the whale beachings and saying that when they cut these whales open that had been beached, all their internal organs were basically liquefied, and this had been caused by some form of sound weapon. I don't know if it was a subsonic sound weapon. So it's kind of a similar thing, isn't it? Fern, I think the government covered up their nuclear testing. They went too far and beyond the agreed testing amount, very probably. Could have been the Tesla death race of Mrs. Mercury. I bet that would scramble brains. Simple as they were testing an energy weapon. Has anyone seen that Russian girl floating in the air? No, I haven't, Jules. Severe vibration, yes, sonic stuff. Yes, simple, something like that. Yeah, the type that sucks the oxygen out of the air. It's called a vacuum bomb. Ah, yes. There's another name for it as well, isn't there, Fern? That's one that, oh God, I can't. No, that's one that, now Porky might know this, ex-forces man. So, yeah, no, it's a vacuum bomb. However, they're called something else, aren't they? One of those that sucks all the air out. Sort of, if you think about it, microwaves cook from the inside out. But wouldn't then the body show some form of like cookage, maybe? Well, obviously, I'm not poo-pooing what anybody's saying. I'm just asking, I'm asking questions. So no external injury, but a calcified mineral has been blasted and shattered. Right, yeah, right, okay, then there. So what's it called? Lithotripsy. So the shock waves to the kidneys to blast the kidney stones, which is what I think that's it, Julia. Thank you, cluster bomb. I couldn't think of the name of it. It's just weird, isn't it? You expect, if I was expecting to see somebody who's had every bone in the chest broken to the extent that the chest has been spread, lithotripsy. Thank you, Simples. I'm terrible at pronunciation of medical terms. But yeah, so if somebody has had, to the extent that the damage to their internal organs is horrendous, the bones in the chest are crushed to the extent that their chest has been spread wide, but there are no signs on the skin outside, you know, of what's gone on inside. That is some creepy stuff. Could be effects of a test flight of a hypersonic engine, which were being tested by the Russians at that time. Really? Oh, I didn't know that, Porky. Yeah, it is, Julie. It's definitely some sort of a pressure. Thinking of the chest bones pushed so low down in the torso. That's it, Fern. But no signs on the outside. But it's that head injury that does me. The fact that his head was stoved in, but there were no signs outside that it had happened. And those two whose hands were just basically bloody stumps because they've been scrabbling that hard to try and get up the tree. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Frida, that's right. Not all of them had the same injuries. This is it. It's never going to be answered, is it? It doesn't matter how many times we go over and over and over this. We're never. I just don't think we're ever going to. Because even the four who were found, who you might think, right, okay, these four were the ones that were surviving. They stripped all the clothes off the comrades. They then ended up in this ravine. I personally think they went into the ravine to shelter. But even those four had different injuries. They were all together. But they all, you know, none of their injuries were the same, apart from two of them had the soft tissue removals of the face. But, you know, oh, here we go. Hypersonic flight was first conceived in 1949 and Yuri Gagarin made the first successful flight in 1961. Looking for Simples to shed a light on the injuries. Nursey. Oh, there you go, Simples, because the range of injuries is so varied. It is. You know, being found next to someone, you've died next to somebody, and you've been alive for the same virtually, you know, maybe to a matter of minutes, but you've been alive at the same time as this person, and yet your injuries are completely different. You know, must have been some hypersonic zoom to do this. There's something, but I mean, this is why I love this case. It just keeps your brain going over and over and over it. I do agree. I do 100% agree that the Russian government, the KGB, whatever, they were absolutely covering something up, but it's what that something was. I just think it was very weird that Ivanov was told to remove all mention of aliens, UFOs, and what have you from his notes. Let's have a look. But it is possible to shatter solid stuff without breaking the skin or any organs. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just that what would have, in the middle of nowhere in 1959, what do you think that could have been? Simple, you know? Yes, Jules, there are several videos about it. Do you know what, Fern? It's absolutely why I love it as well. Supersonic can rupture lungs if close enough, so hypersonic could do much worse, over 8,000 miles per hour. Wow. If you give me a sec, Jules, I will, because I posted a link to this one, and it's actually Let me just find it. I don't know if you... There are a lot of different films on it. However, did you watch the one about the... Jules, did you watch the one about the Yeti theory? Just while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to see if I can find a good link for you. Let's have a little look, have a little look. Oh, now I found the name of it. The other one that I want to, you know, when I was talking about there was another one in Russia. It's called the Korovina Group, which is supposed to be even worse than Dyatlov. So that's going to be one that I'm going to look into and cover. Oh, so that's not the one you watched. Right, Jules, what I'll do is I'll find the link now for the one with the Yeti, because it is quite interesting. Because they do go through it, and they speak to some friends of Ludmila. But sorry, I'm just trying to... I'm a bit distracted because I'm trying to find the link for you. Oh, this is it. I think. Bear with me. Just got to make sure it's the correct one, and then I shall post it. Ah, yes, this is it. Right, okay. I think it's about an hour and a half. So bear with me a second. Oh God, this flipping tablet is so slow. Okay. Right, there you go. There's a link for you, Jules. If you have a little look at that. What am I missing here? It said, I don't think aliens, but I don't know what to think other than sonic or microwave. With a survivor. Yes, Fern, there is a survivor to that case. So, but like I said, I don't know it all, so I need to look into that one properly. But I also want to have a look at the one in America as well. Maybe there was some injury from running away, an animal after death. Maybe. Writing all down so I don't forget it. The woman with the missing tongue and eyes. Were her eyes and mouth open when found? Well, her eyes were gone, and all the skin, like in the ocular area, had been removed. Her mouth was open. It was like in a scream. It was kind of, yeah, just imagine if you were screaming and then you froze instantly. That's basically how she was found. Turn my heating on, Eek. Had to. 2 Celsius is the new cut-off point. It used to be 10. It has gone a little bit cold tonight. And I must admit, because we had the heating was set to 17, so if it drops below 17 it knocks on, but it went that cold in here. And then obviously Porky's daughter was a little bit chilly as well, so I just put it up to 19 for a little bit. So wasn't she in a river up against a bank? Yeah, they were found it was in a ravine, and she was found face down. And a lot of people, they were saying that, yeah, it's a really good one, that, Jules. It really is good. I mean, it's a little bit, it's a bit dramatized, but for the most part, it's dead interesting. A little bit scary in spots as well. Yeah, so a lot of people were saying that, oh, she lost all the soft tissue to her face because she was face down, and it was thawing, and it was the freezing and the decomposition and what have you. But it wasn't decomposition because she was actually frozen. She didn't have enough time to decompose. After they dug her out, she was frozen solid. The injuries were already there, and they weren't consistent with having been, as a result of frostbite. Her tongue was torn out. Price of petrol at the moment, I can't afford to fill the Zippo. So could have been a sonic blast if she was at the front of the group, or birds seeking food at that altitude. Not sure. Oh, you after giving up smoking, Fern? I'm just coming into month 4 now. I've just completed my 3rd month with no faggies. Oh, I'm going to have to plug this damn phone in before I get cut off. Do you know, it's not too bad, Fern. Do you know, there's the usual Frida. There's like there are anywhere. There are bears in Siberia, the Ural, Siberia. There are wolves. There are foxes. This is telling me where the thing is. Look behind me on the skirt. Yeah, but I won't be able to reach because my cord's not that long. No, you lied. There isn't one on the skirting board behind me. Think I'm scared. Fern, I've smoked for years, and I only did it purely because Porky was he's not smoked for years and years and years. And when we started seeing each other, I was smoking my roll-ups, and he'd go, "Oh, roller's one of them," or I'd say, "Do you want one?" He'd go, "Oh yeah," or enjoying having a roll-up. And then I realised, I'm thinking, shit, I'm being a really bad influence here. No, he's me bloke. He's not me son. You'd think he was, but no, he's not. He's me bloke. Did you think he was me son? No, I only have Mum, I want but oh, don't do that. That's horrible. Bitty, I hate, do you know, out of everything on Little Britain, that was the one sketch that used to make my skin crawl. I can't see the. Oh, you're on about Porky's pic. He's got a mustache on that photo. You're all right. If he was my son, I'd probably be in a nursing home by now. Oh, don't Simples, that was the most disgusting. What kind of a mind would think up that bitty sketch, really? Ugh. To anyone in America, I can't even explain it to you. Just do a search on YouTube for Little Britain bitty. You'll see why I'm shuddering. Yeah, I can assure you, he's not 16, love. God, it has gone a bit nippy here, hasn't it? That was the wrong choice of word, actually. Now we've just been talking about Betty. You were old, and it was a David Walliams, not Williams, creation. I know, but it was still weird. It was just, yeah. I mean, yeah, the funny things, you had like the only gay in the village one, and then you had the Bubbles de Vere one. Yeah, they were funny. And the Anne, all of those were funny sketches, a bit sick, some of them, but funny. But the bitty one was just absolutely wrong on every single level. Bacardi and Coke, please. We don't have any. Unless you're wanting so. Do you mean a vodka and Coke? Guys, can you please give me 1 second because I desperately need a wee. I will be right back. Chat amongst yourselves. I shall be 2 ticks. Right, at his back. Just kiss wee Bacardi and Coke. So cheeky. Well, it's doing something outside. I'm just gonna. I don't know if Mrs. Mercury is because she's just down the road from us. Is that sleet I can hear outside? There's something hitting the conservatory roof here, and the temperature has just plummeted. Are you being cheeky calling me Mum? You can stop that right now. Cheeky bugger. So, is there anything else about, you know, that you want to chat about with Dyatlov? Oh, you're in Nuts. Oh, I thought you were just here in. Yeah, but you live in Poulton, don't you? But are you staying with the little grandchildren? Sorry, Mum. Behave yourself, you. I'll set your mirror man on you. Yeah, Julie, that's what it's. But you're more exposed than us because we're on we're nearer to the sea here. But yeah, I know they'd forecast it and said that a lot of places were going to start getting the whole snow and what have you. All right, well that answers that. The Mrs. Mercury. I thought for a minute, I'm thinking, no, she does live near me. She does live near me. She's my new coastal friend. When he said Knutsford, it totally threw me for a minute. Oh, did you live in Knutsford? Very posh in Knutsford, isn't it? Did it, Fern? Oh my God, it's been cracking the flags here all week. Take the notice of him, Fern. He is just winding me up. It's not a problem at all. But no, that's why I was offline for a while, because yeah, you'd have missed it, wouldn't you? Me and Porky are now living in sin. So that's where I've been for the last couple of weeks. I was moving house. I always remember, did anybody used to watch The Royal Family? And remember Denise's, well, it was his boyfriend at the time, like Dopey Dave. And he was saying, I've had a load of business cards made for his DJ business. And she went, have you? And he went, yeah. He said, from this dead posh place, Knutsford. And she went, oh, Knutsford, it's posh. He went, yeah, Knutsford service station. It's like 200 for a quid or something. I used to love the royal family. Couldn't walk far enough to get a phone. Who, me? I've got my phone. I just had nowhere to pack it in. At the minute, I'm standing in the kitchen, freezing my tits off, trying to keep my phone from cutting out. Because I need an extension lead. So, anything else on Dyatlov, or I'm just thinking before I knock it on the head, before my phone completely dies, if anyone's got any questions or anything you want to talk about, or have we covered, have you happy with what we've covered tonight on it? I just think there are just too many questions that are never going to be answered. I was looking in my notebook, and over time, and I've written things down, like we were just discussing then, you know, certain questions about as things occur to me, and I'll think, oh yeah, what about that? I wonder if this has happened or that's happened. And not a single question has ever been answered. And no, I don't think it ever will be. You know, you could talk about it for a week and we're never even going to scratch, you know, yeah, we'll give it a little scratch, but the surface has only just been scratched. We're never going to get any deeper than that. Hard to walk when you're asleep on the... You're a cheeky bugger, you are. I wasn't asleep tonight. I was just lying down. I was lying down before me live. Oh, thank you, Fern. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I know you're a bit of an aficionado. Only raised more questions than the answer. I know, because they're just... There's too much covered up. There's too many... Even if we don't know the facts, some of the facts are that there has been direct involvement in closing off lines of inquiry by the Russian government. The documented, the Russian government, you know, their involvement and the closing off of particular directions that this case, you know, the investigations were heading. It's documented that they shut it down. I'm going to have a look into it because I've not heard it before. Really, Sid, have you not? Yeah, see, I love it. But yeah, have a listen. Mr. Ballon covers it. And that link I popped in for Jules, that's a good one. You know, that's an interesting one. But it looks at it from a specific angle. But they do manage to speak to some members of the Mansi tribe, and they cover kind of that little bit and piece. But they also get some Russian hunters to go with them up into the mountains, which was quite interesting. I'll not give any more away than that, but that is quite a good link. Oh, thank you, Jules. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. The only facts we all have is that 9 people lost their lives. How or why, we will never know. Well, there was a film made, wasn't there? Oh, God. What was it? There was a film made 3-4 years ago, might be slightly longer now, actually, about the Dyatlov Pass. And it was their theory on it, and it was relating to military involvement. But it wasn't just military involvement, it was military involvement with a supernatural twist, because no one's ever going to just stick to one particular theory, are they? I do think, though, given where it is, given that there are so many weird things that occur in Siberia, where this is again, you know, so we've got, like we did the other day when we started talking about spooky Siberia, you've got the hellhole, you've got the Tunguska event, you have got this Dyatlov, you've got the what's that meteor, 2013 meteor, or meteorite, whichever. There's just so many weird and wonderful things happen in Siberia. Then you've got all the apparent now Yeti sightings that are occurring in that area. Yeah, there's just a lot of shizzle going on over there. So I do think it's funny. We all have wrenches. No shit in here, is there? No, absolutely not, Fern. Everybody has to have a wrench. You're not allowed in here without a wrench. But no, no. Do you know, there's the one thing, and I don't know if you've all noticed this either. We haven't had anybody. Watch this. It'll happen now. I'm going to jinx myself. But from me setting this up, and I know there are people that don't like us. I'm going to say that a general us, because of who we've subbed to and who we've watched in the past. We haven't had as yet anybody coming in trying to cause it, have we? Which is quite good. Having said that, though, I think if people did come in and start causing it, they'd probably get chewed out. So you've got the Aries crew in here. Can you imagine that? It'd be like Green Eyes, Lady Witch, Bedtime Clown, Sid, Lisa, I'm trying to, Denny, me, Porky. All the ones with too much of what the cat licks its arse with. It's just not worth the hassle, is it? Was listening today in Ukraine how the troops have all dug trenches in Chernobyl under 30 centimetres, levels of plutonium all disturbed, sickness in the Russian. Well, oh, have you, Julia? Oh, is that about the princess? Well, if it is, Julia, because I'm thinking for next, like this coming week, if I do a live, I want to do another like a paranormally one. I need to drop Burren Witch a text and see when she's fettled for doing another, because she's got loads of interesting stories to tell us all. And Denny's got her story about the weekend, and Julia and her son, and they've got stories, and anybody else who wants. So yeah, Julia. So maybe if we can do that this week coming, if you're free at all. Jules, they know better. That's why I know. You come in and get torn a new one. Yeah, that's right. It's also no bots tonight as well. I know, that's weird, isn't it? We've not had any bots for a while. Not that I want him to come in, but you know. I just think, Frida, I think it's given that, you know, the people that have a lot to say, I'm going to say it that way, the people that have got a lot to say know better than to try coming on home turf, you know. It's like we don't play any away matches, do we? We kind of stay here and we stay in our home ground. But yeah, I think they know better than to start coming in and causing shizzle in here. Oh yeah, of course. You said, yeah, you were saying you were going away for your spa weekend. Well, we don't have to do it this weekend or what have you. We can either have a go through the week or leave it till the week after. However, on the Saturday, 16th, is it? I'm Easter Saturday anyway, whatever date that is. I think it's the 16th. My niece is finally getting married. She should have been married in 2020 and it got knocked off because of the they should have been getting married yeah, it was April 20, I think it was about the 15th of April 2020, and we'd just gone into lockdown, so it got cancelled. They rescheduled it for last year. What happened again? March, went back into a lockdown again. They had to cancel it. They went and bought a new house using all the money that they were saving for. They're like, oh, let's get a bigger house, because they've got, you know, with the kiddies and what have you. So they upsized to a lovely big house, and then they've decided, yeah, we're going to crack on, because Thomas, her fiance, he's an identical twin. This is really weird. He's an identical twin, and his twin doesn't, but he does. He suffers from quite a rare form of bone cancer. He's only a young lad as well, so he's had several operations. So yeah, I just you know, at the moment, yeah, it's all right, but because they wanted a family. So now they've got the family. He has now had the old snipper dipper, and he's undergoing like intense, I think it's chemo and radiotherapy, because it would have affected his fertility. So he's going ahead with that now that they've got their family, and they're quite happy as they are. So yeah, I thought they were just like, no, we're just going to do it. We're going to get married. Debts be damned, sod it. Let's have a look. Son had a COVID when only 15 people. I didn't go, but they're so happy. Yeah, it'd be really nice to you know, to see all my family as well, you know, because we're all dispersed. We don't get together that often, and well, we don't get together at all because we're all over the place. You know, there's people abroad, there's people up in the north of Scotland, there's people right down in the very, you know, the southern, the tip of Devon. So it'll be nice for us all to get together. Jules, thank you, Kiss. Thank you all. Chat. I have to go to feed the cats and take my tablets. Oh, Jules, it's been lovely to see you, love, and thanks so much for coming in. And hopefully we'll see you on the next one. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh, massage and a facial. Oh, look. Oh, do you know I could do with a facial? Isn't it lovely? You just lie back. Oh, bliss. My friend is a beauty therapist. Oh God. And she does like your full face massage, and then she puts all the cream in. She did make me laugh though, because the very first facial I had with her, now she would never dream of speaking to a normal client like this, but we've been really good friends for donkey's years. And I was like, oh, Zoe, I want a facial. She went, yeah, no problem. Book you in, blah, blah, blah. And she works out of her home. She has a clinic in her home. So I'm getting myself ready, and I'm lying down on the bed, and she's prepping my face. And I said, you know, I'll just trust you. You do what you want. I said, what's my skin feeling like? And she went, I was shocked because I'd never heard her say this word before. She went, well, I've got to say, Jax, your skin, it's drier than a nun's. See you next Tuesday. And I went, what? I said, you can't say that. She went, no, it's only you. I said, mate, seriously? She went, no, but she said, seriously, your skin is dry as fuck. She said, that is you being out riding horses out in the wind. She said, not putting moisturiser on when you need to. And I tell you what, oh gosh, I think I was in there for about an hour. She like the full face massage, and I had all these different creams and masks on and cleansers. It was amazing. So I really could do with another one because it was lovely. And while she had one of the masks was on my face, she was giving me like an Indian head massage as well, which, oh God, that was so nice. My son was at a funeral this week, was very nervous, hugging everyone, but what can you do? Oh, do you know what, Frida? I'm past it now. I just give people hugs. I was out with my friends last night. You know, we had a girls' night planned. There's a lovely restaurant that we go to. It's a Spanish restaurant. And I had to like drive over there. And it was, we always cause a riot when we're in there because we have such a good laugh. There were 5 of us. There should have been more, but there ended up just being 5 of us. And it's a beautiful tapas restaurant. So they know us really well in there. Whenever we go, we're always really noisy and we laugh. And the Spanish people who own it, they always come and thank us. You know, they're like, oh my God, you know, this is what people coming out should be like. You know, we apologise for making so much noise. They're like, no, it's brilliant. You know, you always liven the place up. Well, last night we had people coming joining us on the, you know, wanting to come and join our table. There were a couple behind us. There were other tables laughing at us. All the staff enjoyed it. And the funniest thing was, as we were leaving, so we're waving to the staff, we're going out, very noisy, bye, see you. all the tables were waving at us. Bye, girls. See you later. This couple who'd gone out were asking us where we were heading off to. They wanted to come for a drink with us. It was, yeah, it was brilliant. An hour. Yeah. Well, I had an Indian head massage as well, Fern. It was lovely. Probably not remove the wrinkles. Oh, let's not discuss wrinkles. XE variant going round. Oh, what's the XE variant, Fern? I've not heard of that one. The last one I heard about was the Omicron and the Deltacron. Was it Deltacron? Or whatever it was. I'll have to look it up and see what... oh, double Omicron. Ugh. It's bloody crackers, isn't it? Oh, I'm not bothered. So long as it doesn't kill anybody that I care about. And, well, I don't want it to kill anybody, but, you know, so long as everybody I care about is safe and well, and, you know, if I get it, so long as I've got somebody that can walk my dog while I can't breathe, I'll be all right. I'll be quite happy. Oh dear. Right, guys and gals. Well, as it is now 11 o'clock, and I have to be up quite early in the morning, if you don't mind, you're okay if I call a halt to this one, and I'll do another one midweek maybe, because I'm going to look up that other Russian case and see if it's. I'll just try and suss out if it's as interesting as Dyatlov, and it sounds like it is, and obviously people are saying it's a worse case than Dyatlov. I don't know, you know, in what respect it's worse, whether you know, the what the people went through is worse, but the fact that there is one survivor who talks about it, I think will be quite interesting. Yeah, Frida, it's like flu, isn't it? There's always a different, you know, there'll be several strains of flu going around, but there will be one dominant strain, and that's the one that you'll get vaccinated against. But it doesn't mean you won't catch flu. It just means you won't catch that particular variant of flu. So, right, well, I am going to wind this one up now, and I'd just like to thank everybody, all of you, for coming in, as always, and joining in and telling me what you think of, you know, the theories and questions and what have you, and giving me things to think about as well. You know, a lot of stuff that I didn't know, and theories that I wouldn't have thought of. You know, and I'm glad it's opened a few people's eyes, like Sid, who hadn't heard of it before, and Julia and Jules. Juliet, thanks everyone. It's been an interesting night and good info. Catch you all next time. Oh, thanks so much for coming in, Julia, love. It's always good to see you. I've enjoyed your company this evening. Nice gang. Oh, thanks so much, Fern. Well, set the little bell, and then, you know, if we're coming live again, hopefully you'll get a notification. But I'll usually set them up a day or two in advance so that they will show up as scheduled live. But I want to try and get some really interesting, you know, meaty things to discuss, and then occasionally we'll have our paranormal ones, and the stuff with Burham Witch is so interesting. So yeah. I'm just sorry that we missed Green Eyes tonight, so I hope she's all right. Oh, your bell's on. Oh, brilliant, Fern, love. Thank you. All right, everybody. So Frida and Jules has gone, hasn't she? Simples, Sid, Mrs. Mercury, Julia. Who've I missed? Oh, I don't know who I've missed. If I've missed anyone, I know Lady Witch had gone, hadn't she? Denny, if she's still there listening. Porky, Mirrorman, if you're in the background. Thank you all. Oh, and Nancy as well, who's listening from Sid's side. Great to see you in the chat, love, and I hope you come in again. Right, thank you. Everybody, take care. I hope you all stay nice and safe and warm because it is fucking freezing. I'm going to go and sit in bed now and eat the rest of my pudding. And I will see you all, hopefully, maybe midweek or something. Oh, yeah, of course you can, Fern. Plug anything you like. Do you want to stick something in the chat, a link or something? Sorry, I hadn't seen that. I'd not. Good night, kiss and chat. Good night, Porky. Enjoy your cake. Thank you, kiss for this live. Oh, thanks, Frida. Yeah, Fern, you don't have to ask about plugging anything. That's why you're all mods. You can put anything, as long as it's not porn. You can put anything you like in the link. You know, link it up or ask me to put something up on the screen. I don't look at it as my channel. It's our channel. Do what you like. It's fine. Etsy shop name. Can you give me a like, please? Yeah, absolutely. Hang on, we'll put that up here. Right, can everybody who's still in, we've still got 9 people in the chat. Could everybody please go onto Etsy and give Dolls by Fern a like? I'll do it when I come off my live, lovey. And we can get higher up the list in Etsy. I did this with my friend. She's got her own shop as well on Etsy. So, yeah, absolutely no problem. So, Dolls by Fern. Give her a bit of a like. Thank you all so much. And, yeah, and the thing is as well, Fern, if you've got a link, just if you know how to do that, just pop a link in the chat and then people can just click on it and, you know, and go straight there. Or if no, not a problem at all. Not a problem, Fern. And feel free once the live's closed down, if you've not got a link to put in chat now, go into the comments after I've closed the live down and stick it in a comment and just put, you know, this is a link to my Etsy shop, and I'll pin it at the top so everybody sees it if they go and look on comments. Because, oh, I'm not techno, I'm totally dependent on my soul, right? Don't worry. Not a problem. We'll get one of these whiz kids to do it the next time. But yeah, absolutely. You don't have to ask. Just anything you want, just put it in the chat and go, this is a link to my, you know, this is a link to my shop. It's fine. No probs. Right, guys, gals, watchers, lurkers, lovers, haters, fucktards, and gorgeous people. Thank you all so much for being in. Thank you to those of you who've been watching from the sidelines who haven't come in, but you know you're all welcome. And I will see you all hopefully midweek sometime. So take care. Love yous lots like jelly tots. And I'll do my usual ending just to piss everybody off. See you all on the bright side.